welcome to another Battle Tome review show, and today is all about the Paragons of Sigmar, the Stormcast Eternals.
The beef. What is that? Are you kidding me?
It's a beastie book.
I should have weighed this beforehand. They're normally 800 grams. I'm an interesting man, so I know this stuff. But this feels like a solid,
more than
solid kilo, right?
Oh, I think so. It's 1 kg of Stormcasty goodness. So apologies for not having this video on pre-order day. We did have the Orc Warclan video. Thank you very much, everybody who's watched that. It's gone down really well.
Thank you so much for your thoughts, guys. It was makes it worth the 2-part, fairly late evening slogs that we put in together out. So thank you so much for engagement and input and corrections and all the rest of it.
Yeah, and we will obviously be following up content with lists and other things. So we need to give the Stormcast a similar treatment. I'm not quite sure we're going to go quite as deep as I went on with the Europe book, as I've not been playing these guys as that deep.
It's not. It doesn't. 1/3 of it isn't new either, is it? It's
no. Well, it's But anyway, thank you, Games Workshop, for sending us a review copy. We have to say that. We do appreciate it. It lets us get content out on early, obviously. So we also ran FACEHAMMER GT, which is kind of why we didn't release. So thanks to everyone who came along.
I look a bit like this.
I'm still recovering. my back's not forgiving me for that, the admin chair. So I'm not used to it. So there you go. So Stormcast. So we're going to get in. If you haven't seen one of these shows before, we're going to get into the rules.
Yep.
We basically just cover match play rules. If you want to know about the lore, the layout, the painting guides, there are other channels for that. We don't do that. We're going to talk about all the rules.
They are wonderful to paint, though. Like, bloody love painting a good Stormcast model. They are one of the best things, and the ones in Dominion are phenomenal for getting on the table fast.
Yeah.
And luckily, you're only going to need about 3.
How do you feel about like the change of style between old and new? If you were trying to collect the army, would you try and avoid mixing?
Oh, I thought you meant books.
No, I meant,
I feel very differently to how I do about the change in books. So I think that the change in Stormcast is wicked. Like, really, really good. They look nice visually. They paint so well that, like, how to put this? They are so wonderful to paint that if you're vanilla on them and then you pick one up and you paint it, you will be no longer vanilla and you'll love it, because it is such a rewarding and progressive experience that you want to do it fast. It'll look this good, and for each bit of extra time you put in, as long as you don't F it up, then you'll be increasingly more happy with it, right up to Golden Demon level. So I think they're phenomenal to paint. And quite a lot of that is from considerations that have gone in sculpting and stuff. Got different styles of stepped armor that is going to be painted in the same way. So you end up with scales, like literal scales, then plates, then rounded bits. I'm all into that. I like metallics, so win from me.
No, I love the new models too. I just didn't know how you felt about collecting an army that has older war scrolls that you might want to field that have got the older models. Would you just stick to the new, or would you not care?
Nah, the old ones are faster to paint, so fine. Way faster. They've got less crap on them.
Yeah, so this is the second Battle Tome, maybe the first, because they come out at the same time. In Age of Sigmar 3. New design direction, new box set design. Not sure I'm a fan, but...
Not aesthetically. Like, the picture's nice, but I like the white.
Yeah.
White ones, think they look pretty good.
Same.
Nice and clear. Less embarrassing, in a way. I think, like, they look more worldwide acceptable. Not that I'm ashamed of my hobby, but, like, I think these look a little less modern in a not preferred way. He's a really angry Stormcast, though. I like that. He's so angry.
Yeah.
He really does not like chaos. Look at him. He's even scowling, despite the fact he's got a mask on.
Yeah.
Should we jump in, then?
Yeah. So... All right, let's get ready. Strap yourselves in. So, allegiance abilities. So you get to pick a Stormhost. We'll talk about those in a bit.
I'm still scrolling.
You have the Guardians of the Heavens and Shield of the Mortal Realms. You decide whether you are Signs of Storm or the Stormkeep variant. So they've got different rules depending which one you pick. And I think that most people will go Stormkeep once you start playing games, because I don't think Scions is that good. You got Blaze of Glory. If a friendly Stormcast model is slain within 1 inch of an enemy unit, before removing it, you basically roll a number of dice equal to the wounds characteristic. You add 1 to the number of dice you roll if it has the Thunder Strike keyword. For every 6+, they take a mortal wound. So everything in the army basically splats back lightning as you hit them, which
Not
is
bad.
Pretty good. Nice little bit of chip damage.
Yeah, it can add up, can't it?
One of the things that Stormcasts have got in this book is so many ways to do mortal wounds. It's literally like everything can do mortal wounds when they die,
like
when they land,
minuses
when
to
they
hit
fart, when they I mean, literally, like Liberators now become like mortal wound output machines.
Interesting.
Yeah, Redeemer units are kind of like quite important. So you've got Signs of the Storm. So if you play Signs, this is the drop from the sky, set up in the heavens. It's the same as it has been. So you basically get to put half your units up in the sky, drop 9 away at the end of your movement phase. Got to be down by turn 3, basically. One of the things that they have lost is that you used to get the shock and awe rule, which they might want to hit in the turn they dropped.
Yeah.
They don't get that anymore. It's now
a big
command.
bonus, wasn't it?
Well, you can get it, but it's a command trait for your general.
More restrictive.
So, yeah, but then, yeah. So it's there, but it's just not an automatic thing.
Is it table wide?
We'll get into it.
All right.
I don't know off the top of my head.
I got it.
So Stormkeep get Watchful Guardians. So they get Coalition Cities of Sigmar.
That's a big selection.
Yeah,
that's a big selection.
Might add some cheap bodies that you need.
Need them. My God, you're going to need them. Although, if you're really into that, then going the other way might make a bit more sense. Guess we'll come to that potentially. Either's viable, I think. But they're both wide open books with a billion scrolls, so do whatever you like.
I think the next reason is probably why is that in the first and second battle rounds, Stormkeep Redeemer units contest an objective that's partially or wholly within your territory. Each model counts as 3 models rather than 1. And from the third battle round onwards, they all count as 3 models. In addition, if an enemy unit finishes a charge within 1 inch of a Stormkeep Redeemer unit that is within 6 of an objective, on a 3+, they take D3 mortal wounds.
Right, those rules keep on coming. It's like ogres, but everywhere.
So you count as you got 5 Liberators. They count as 15 models. You charge them. You take D3 mortal wounds on a 3+. Lalo the Tyrants has changed as well. And that's also mortal wounds. So that's why Liberators in Stormkeep are pretty obnoxious as objective holders.
If you're playing Suns, though, just boot that objective 1 inch that way. It's not in their territory anymore, and carry on loving life.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, if your giant's on the objective they're on, and it's the start of your turn, you've probably killed whatever was there, right?
Yeah, and you don't care about D3, 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 D3 more wounds together even. It does, yeah. Sure will.
So then you've got the command traits. So yeah, as I mentioned.
Yeah, table wide, no restrictions, so that is an efficient CP to be spending. I can't imagine you ever wanting to not spend that.
It's not a CP. It's just as a trait.
Oh, just as a trait. Okay then.
Yeah, you just take it on your general and you get the ability as long as they're alive. So
subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks that target friendly Signs of the Storm units that were set up in that phase until the end of that turn. So not melee or anything like that. That's just solid.
Mm-hmm.
End of your movement phase. That gets around, quite a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
However, we've got some old former favourites here. Which ones are the good ones?
So your staunch defender is to re-roll the dice that determines the number of mortal wounds to Redeemer units using the Shield of Civilization trait. If the friendly unit's wholly within 12 of the general, so it's like bit. It's okay, I suppose.
Yeah, that got worse.
Yeah,
how the
it was
mighty
a bit
have fallen.
auto include before, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
So Envoy of the Heavens is quite unusual. So if a friendly Stormcast Eternal model within 12 of the general is slain, so you can add 1 to save rolls for attacks that target the slain model's unit until the end of the phase. So the reason that's a bit unusual is normally you roll all your attacks, work out all the damage, they take all their saves. So it only really comes into effect if 2 units are attacking the same thing.
Yeah, if you're being mobbed.
Yeah. It's still pretty good though.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of little ASFE stuff in the game now. Someone charge you with the Demon Prince, for example, they'll do a bit of damage and then you'll have a save against the rest of it. So potentially a bit too condition-y to be truly powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Like if someone's in on a 1-er and wipes out 2/3 of your unit, then you probably don't care.
No, I mean, basically it's like if you're playing Stormkeep, you take Shock and Awe. If you're playing, Stormkeep, you take Staunch Defender. If you're playing Scions, you take Shock and Awe. And if you're playing Dragons, you take the next one.
Okay, Master of the Celestial Menagerie. If this general is a monster and is on the battlefield, subtract 1 from wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons that target friendly Stormcast Eternals monsters. So yeah, if your army has lots of monsters, that's debuffing wound rolls is legit as well because they can't be so readily buffed as hit rolls. So unbelievably solid.
Just as a future spoiler, and I know probably it's been enough time since the book's been on, review release, is that you can have an army of dragons, so they're all monsters.
Dragons is good.
And they're all -1 to wound in combat then.
Yeah.
As long as your general's alive.
2 to wound isn't that common. 2 to hit is much more easily achievable. So putting someone from 3s to wound onto 4s to wound that is a massive swing defensively for anything, particularly if it's got solid after save after that.
I think if you run a Star Drake, even if you don't run all dragons, that's probably more useful than anything else because it affects him. So
yeah, that's a good point. Quarter of your army.
Yep, big 500-point boy.
So that doesn't seem like much these days, does it? Or not as much as it used to.
More than a mega.
Yeah. Artifacts of power. So we've got Stormcast Eternal Heroes only, Stormforged weapons. So I guess these will all be offensive. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. You can reroll hit rolls for attacks made with that weapon that target a hero or monster. It's all right. Hammer of Might. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. Unmodified wound roll for attack made with the weapon is 6. Double the damage characteristic of the weapon for that attack. Not so excited about that one unless you're attacking crap, because obviously someone's still going to get a save. Fang of Dracothian. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. If any wounds caused by attacks made with that weapon are allocated to an enemy model, that enemy model suffers 1 mortal wound at the end of the turn.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Not awful. What's your favourite of those?
Probably the Hammer of Might, just because some of the weapons have got high rend and high damage, and you just end up doing like
you get
2d3 rather than it's like almost getting an extra attack through.
Would help your hero kill crap as well. Like just about
but it helps just smooth out your averages, because it's if you rolled the 6, then it's almost like one of your hits that didn't miss, or you got an extra hit, so it can spike. So it's okay. I mean, I don't rate any of them because like artifacts, you're going to be taking an Amulet of Destiny pretty much, or you're going to be taking some of these next ones because they're amazing.
Yeah,
so like
the more wounds you've got, the more you're rewarded for defense
stuff, over offense generally.
Yeah, absolutely. On the subject of which, Heaven's wrought armor. Go for it.
So reroll save rolls for attacks with weapons that have a damage of 2 or more that target the bearer.
I
mean, reroll saves is nuts.
Yeah, against the stuff that you care about the most.
Yeah.
Even but like if there's going to be a restriction, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know how it works if you've got a damage of a random characteristic. Because it could be 1, right? So
yeah. So
I think
flat profiles.
I think so. I think it's like movement, isn't it? Like a random move is counted as a like. How does that work? I guess it would have to be like damage 2 or 3, but it wouldn't work against damage D3.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So still watch out for dragon bites.
Yeah, D6 damage still a thing.
Mirror shield, an old classic. The bearer cannot be picked as the target of a shooting attack unless the attacking unit is within 9 of the bearer. So if you are worried about shooting in your army, that's all right. I guess
it's amazing when you think about sentinels, because sentinels don't need line of sight, but this doesn't say he's not visible. It says cannot be picked.
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
just can't shoot him.
Yeah, if they're a particularly bad matchup for you. By definition, though, like quite a lot of the time, if you want to be making a charge in, you want to be putting yourself closer than that. So they're still going to be getting there. Unleash hell, aren't they?
Well,
unless you're loitering around 9.1 inches away.
Depends if you're taking some of those new fancy dragons and can get round it with a hero move and charge before they even get a chance. So,
in which case, you don't need this anyway, because you don't give a.
Well, your Star Drake will still don't want to be shot on turn 1 by 30 sentinels, does it? So
that's fair.
You could drop it from the sky as well, but that's
might be the weakness that you're trying to fill. Amulet of Silvered Sigmarite. Your opponent cannot reroll hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons that target the bearer. Seems a little specific.
Yeah, it's probably better when there were more reroll hits in the game and they've not been removed for +1 to hit, right?
Yeah, and it's only melee.
Yeah.
When you're pretty worried about high rend shooting, for example.
I just wish it was -1 to hit. Like,
yeah.
Just like, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, nice and clean, isn't it? Artifacts of the Tempest. Stormcast Eternals, heroes only. Quicksilver. Draft. Once per battle at the end of the charge phase, you can say the bearer will drink there, blah, blah, blah. If you do so, the bearer fights at the start of the following combat phase. Cannot fight again in that phase unless an ability or spell allows them to fight more than once. So, not a bad option. The bigger you are, the better that is, I guess.
It's solid because, like, you get the added benefit of, okay, I've gone first, then it goes into normal picking and you get to pick another unit.
Yeah.
So you get to go with 2 units, basically.
At the end of the charge phase, so not your charge phase, yeah. So you can use that either offensively on your charge to go twice or defensively to go before your opponent. So that's wide open. It's what we look for in a load of this stuff. It's not, 7 restrictions and at midnight, blah, blah, blah. Luckstone used to be an old solid. Once per battle, before you make a hit or a wound roll for an attack made by the bearer, a save roll for an attack that targets the bearer, or a run or a charge roll, blah, 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 blah. You can say they will draw on their powerful Luckstone. If you do so, instead of making the roll, you must choose the result of the roll. The result chosen for a D6 roll must be a whole number from 1 to 6. 3.5, please. And the result for chosen 2d6 roll must be a whole number between 2 and 12. Cannot be re-rolled, but any modifiers are applied as normal.
So it's guaranteed 12-inch charge in it, basically.
Yeah.
It's pretty strong.
I don't think you're taking this on Venators anymore.
I mean, like, just guaranteeing a 12-inch charge is nuts.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
Especially if you've dropped from the sky and you're just going to go on definitely charging you.
Yeah, you got... they used to have run and charge available in the book. Presume they still do, but I guess we'll find out.
No, I don't think that Heraldor is not as good anymore.
No more tooty toots. Okay. Obsidian Amulet is the final one. Once per battle, start the hero phase. Ignore the effects of spells or abilities of endless spells on the bearer until your next hero phase. It's nice if you're facing a Nagash.
Very situational, but yeah. I think
local meta dependent.
If you're probably taking Amulet of Destiny, you'd probably take the Mirror Shield, Drake Scale Armor, the Luckstone, or the Draft over everything else. Like, there's so many good choices there. I don't think the Amulet will see play.
Agreed. Luckstone is particular. Like, that's wide open. That's great. That affects 4 rolls or something. I'm sure one of them will be useful.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All right. What's going on the next page, Russ? And why do they have spells. 6 of them?
I don't know. Because they're Stormcast, they get all.
The green guys got 4 each. This seems unfair.
Well, it's more spells if you add them together.
So big war 1. All right, then. Do you want to roll through these?
Yeah. So we got lightning blast. On a 5, the closest enemy takes D3 mortals if more than one is visible and equally close pick. So basically it's D3 at range, but you can't pick your target.
Doesn't have a range though, so
No.
All right.
It's okay, but
you don't get to pick. Bit weird.
So all the spells, there's a lot of wording. Basically, it's 12 inches if you're a knight, or 18 if you're a lord or a draconif. So we can skip all that wording. But you basically, this next one is Right Halo on a 5 again. To an next hero phase, if a modified save roll is a 6, the attacking unit takes a mortal wound after its attacks have been resolved.
You're being attacked, the better that is.
Mm-hmm. But that's not even in combat. That's just for against attacks. So yeah, it affects range.
Elite shooting units would not like that, would they?
No, I mean
not many wounds on them. your crawl boys aren't going to enjoy that particularly, are they?
No, but they're just going to do mortals and go straight through your save anyway, so they don't care.
They can't not make the other rolls, though, can they? Sounds like there's going to be a lot of suicide bombing going on from afar if that.
Just get loads of minuses to hit. It's fine. So I used to do with Spirit Host when I used to fight Stardrake.
Can't all play as techy as you, Mr.
Hit with your Geminids, so you don't get shielded back.
Celestial Blades next. Another 5. Blah 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 range. Wholly within range visible. Add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by that unit until your next hero phase. That's a good spell.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great spell. Charge something up, send it off. Give away the turn. Get buffed for 3 rounds of, a while. That's pretty tasty. I like that. 5 is.
They're all quite easy to cast, aren't they?
Yeah, 18 inches is really quite a long way as well. Chain Lightning, sure we've seen that before. 6, 12, 18, blah, blah, blah. 1 enemy unit within range. D3 mortal wounds, then roll the dice for each other enemy unit within 6 on a 3+ suffers 1 mortal wound. Still,
the same as Manfred's spell is very good because you can hit a unit and it kind of chip damages everything.
Yeah, pretty solid. And that sounds not great, but when you bear in mind the amount of chip damage everywhere else and the fact that you've got shooting, that can be really beneficial. You might do 1 wound on a wizard that lets you kill him where you duplicators or something like that.
This next one is nuts.
Casting value is 6. Roll a dice for each enemy unit within range and visible. It's not wholly within, so you could be dinking them with the 18 or whatever. On a 3+, subtract 1 from wound rolls for attacks made by that unit until the next hero phase. That is nuts.
It's every single unit of an 18 each, and it's missile and melee on a 3. Cast on a 6.
Okay.
Are you kidding me?
Well, 1+ spell, that is a joke. Like the Ideneth, the magic-y one of the Sea Cloak guys, has something that's somewhat similar to that. I think it's D3 units, or maybe it's D6.
And that feels 12, and I don't think it's even
shorter. And that feel like I've had that done against me, and that feels grim. So that's that nuts. Should be like an 8.
Yeah.
That's
it should be a unit, not every unit.
Yeah, or D3.
It's
like
just
steady.
Crazy.
Steady on. That's hello MSU. Sorry.
It's all right. At least you don't have a caster that can go really aggressive and up the table like a big dragon.
Several of them.
That's a caster.
That's wicked against Suns as well. They can't buff in any, but I mean that will hit the entire army.
Yeah.
Generally. Winning a turn roll is going to feel bad against that. Starfall, casting value of 5. Pick 1 point on the battlefield within range. Roll a dice for each enemy unit within 3 on a 3+. Cannot make pile-ins. That unit cannot make pile-in moves until the end of that turn. That's techie. But it's, why would you take that one when you could take Thundershock?
Still quite good though, because you can charge them and then not be. It's basically you get to guarantee your Slanesh can't pile in Locust, but at range before you charge. So you go,
before you commit
I
to
went
it.
off. Oh, it didn't go off. I won't charge you then.
Yeah, custom value of 5 though, as well is just like lols. Give it a bash. We'll have to see how efficiently pointed the wizards are. Number 1, Thundershock for defense with your elite army. Number 2, Azerite Halo. Azerite Halo. Celestial Blades. Just seems like the buff and the debuff.
Anything affecting wound rolls is good, right? Because you can't get it really anywhere else.
Completely. That's a outrageously good lore. Like 4 of them aren't going to get considered, but that's just because 2 of them are so good.
But even think about it. If you've got, I know you're capped at -1 maximum, but if you've got Thundershock and you've also got the command trait where you're -1 to wound, you're going to be -2 to wound.
Yeah.
So even if you've got a +1 to wound, you're still going to be at -1.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
And they're, tasty. Your army's elite. It needs protecting before it gets to saves, ideally, even if your saves are decent. So, all right then. Right. What else is going on with this?
Some prayers.
Yeah.
So we've got Divine Light on a 3 and a range of 12 if you're a knight, if at 18 if you're a lord. They're all going to be that, I think. Pick an enemy unit within range. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks that target unit until the next hero phase. So that's shooting and combat.
Yep. Lets you bully something pretty efficiently.
It's quite nice because you pick a unit and then everything can unload on it if you really need to kill it. So it's really good against megas, The next one, it's got to be FAQ'd this, I reckon. Can you spot the issue with it?
Translocation is a prayer, blah, 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 knight, blah, 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 blah. Casting answer value of 3 and range of 9. Pick 1 friendly Stormcast Eternals unit wholly within range, invisible to the chanter. You can remove them. You can remove that unit from the battlefield and set it up again anywhere on the battlefield. More than 9 from all enemy units.
Doesn't count as a move. Doesn't stop you moving in the movement phase.
Oh whoa, yeah. I was looking at it and then I just thought that's written quite short, and then you said, yeah.
So translocate their move.
That's overly juicy, right? Yeah. I'm gonna do that and then move, 6, which most things have.
Yeah. Then you've got Blessed Weapons, which is the modified hit roll for an attack made by units of 6 does 2 hits instead of 1.
Solid.
Yeah.
Translocation, absolute winner. Even if it does get that added, it's still great to have that option.
Yeah. I mean, it was a go-to anyway, but
it's, up the ante. Why not? Okay. Mount traits. Oh dear, there's loads of bold words everywhere. Aethertic swiftness. Griff Charger, Dracoth, Dracoline. Eligible to fight in the combat phase if it's within 6 and can move an extra 3 when it piles in. Solid. Light of the Young Stars, Stardrake only. Instead of a monstrous rampage, pick 1 enemy unit within 1, roll the dice, 3+, subtract 1 from hit rolls made by the unit in the following combat phase. Solid option.
What's good about that, though, just before you move on, is that it's instead of a monstrous rampage, it's not a monstrous rampage. So Hunters of the Halfland wouldn't stop you being able to use that.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't say you have a monstrous rampage. It's instead you don't do a monstrous rampage and then you do this instead. So it's not a monstrous rampage.
You can opt to not cast and then you get to do this.
Yeah.
Tasty. Celestial Instincts. This unit can retreat and still either shoot or charge in the same turn. I love that. I like retreat and charge is brilliant.
Especially on a Stardrake, right?
Yeah, it's all right. Especially on anything that gets bonuses on the charge, which is most things that are at Dragon. Envoy of Lightning. If this unit's set up on the battlefield using Sands of the Storm, you can roll a dice for each enemy unit within 10. So it's not going to be able to hit too much, maybe 2 units, 3 max. On a 4+, they suffer D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah, no.
No.
Like
very often you'll be dinking 1 and it's a 4+.
Your general has to be off the table with Signs of the Storm and come down, and you're going to get ding 1 unit and also 50-50. Why would you take that over Retreat in Charge or Pile in 6 or any of the others?
Yeah. Everything's been good so far until that. Subtract Scintillating Tail. Subtract 1 from unbinding rolls for enemy wizards for spells cast by friendly Stormcast Eternal wizards wholly within 12 for this unit. We'll see if Stardrakes still have a debuff. They used to, because that could stack, if so. Although that was 18, I believe.
Yeah, that was to, So, but this is quite weird because it's when your casters are in range, not the enemy casters. So it's quite nice because it's basically like your wizards could be near your creature and they could be 30 inches away, but they're still getting -1 to unbind.
Yeah, no, good point. Draconith only. Thunderous Presence. You can choose this ability instead of Monstrous Rampage. Again, pick one enemy unit on a 3+. This unit cannot receive commands. Oh, so it's just...
So it's raw that can be used on a Hunter's unit, and if you had another monster, you could use 2 raws, because raw is... You could do once, but then this is not raw, so you could do 2 units that can't get commands. It's quite powerful, that.
Yeah, it is. I wonder if there's any bravery debuffs. That hasn't been that thing historically, has it really? Unique enhancements.
Oh, it's just Battle Shock, isn't it?
Yeah, Battle Shock phase.
Oh, okay, it's just Battle Shock. I thought it was just in the combat phase.
No.
That's weird, because you do it in the charge phase, but then it affects them in the Battle Shock phase.
Yeah, it's basically Yukon Inspiring Presence.
Yeah, well, that's still good.
Yeah, in certain situations. Bit specific, though.
Yeah, I thought it was just in the... I thought it was like the same as Raw there, but no, it's not.
No. Like, if the army you're facing is elite, they just don't care. And because of, monsters being everywhere, I don't think that one's got particularly high value.
No.
Right. Unique enhancements. What is a holy command?
It's like a once per game command ability that you get to pick. So you can just pick one of these, and you can just go, oh, I'm going to do this super thing. They're a bit weird because it doesn't say, like, I'm not really sure who issues it. It's kind of like they've got triggers based on things happening.
Okay. So when you pick Stormcast Eternal's Arm, you can pick one of the following command abilities to use during a battle.
So, like, call to aid, it says, like, use this once per battle when a Redeemer unit with 5 or fewer models is destroyed. So that's the trigger. You'd spend your command point. Then you'd pick one hero on the battlefield. A new replacement unit, identical unit that was destroyed, is added to your army. Set that unit up wholly within 12 of the Stormcast hero, more than 9 from enemy units.
Pretty wide open, right? You're going to have you're going to have some units of 5 or less that are really valuable, and having a hero alive is the only requirement for it, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like 5 Judicators or 5 Secretors, 5 Liberators, whatever. You just being able to, like, oh, I'm going to put that unit back on. Like,
I can see myself suiciding a unit when it's got 1 left because I want to, be able to shoot something that's on that side of the table or something like that. But if you've got a unit 2 dragons, then you can use it on that. Obs.
Well, they're Redeemers, so they don't have the Redeemer keyword.
Is that Paladins?
Yeah, so your Redeemers are just the battle line, like Libs, Secretors, Judicators. Yeah, so they're like the basics guys. I think Vindicators. When we get there, we'll check. But I'm pretty sure it's like Liberators, Judicators, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so.
Still tasty though. I mean, there's not a role involved in that. Is your hero alive? Did something die?
You basically for free. You've just got an extra unit without
in an elite army.
Any cost.
That counts for a lot. They're also slow once on. Yeah, they're slow once on table Stormcast, aren't they? Generally, we'll see if that's still a thing. I guess. Steadfast March. You can use this command ability once per battle. Start the movement phase. Can only be issued by a knight unit to a unit wholly within 12 or Lord Draconith wholly within 18. Must be Stormcast Eternal's unit. God, bold words everywhere. Until your next hero phase, that unit can run and charge. Good option. Gives you some turn 1 strats. Quite nice if you go high drop, stuff like that. It gives you a real threat. depending on what you've got available.
Yeah, no, volley is basically it's the same 12 a night, 18 if you're a Lord or Draconif. So in your hero phase, you pick a Justicar Angelos unit and they can shoot in the hero phase basically. So it's a bit like the Anvils of Heldenhammer, but you do it once. Angelos and Justicar are like Judicators and those kind of units. So there's the protectors and all that kind of stuff.
These are all really good if you go high drop. They're like your opponent gave you first turn protection quite nicely. Both of those last two. Unleash thy hatred. Blah blah blah. Normal start. Knight Lord 12-18. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of that unit's melee weapon until the end of the phase. That's on Paladin units. So the elite 3 wounds each, heavy hitting dudes, basically.
Yeah. But the only issue with that is it's a command ability, and you're doing it in the combat phase, so it stops you using all that attack, all that defense.
Yeah.
So it's like it's okay, but
if they've been buffed by other means.
Yeah.
Final Thunderstrike, epic wording. 12-8 its command ability. Once for battle, start combat. 12 Knight, Lord Draconith 18. Receives the command must be friendly Stormcast Eternals. Until the end of that phase, add 1 to the rolls for the Blaze of Glory battle trait when the model from that unit is slain. So it would be 5 ups rather than 6 ups.
It's quite good because like you're doing that when they hit you, they've already committed to fighting you.
Yeah.
So they've gone in. You can literally go, well, actually, what I'll do then is I'll go some. I know they're about to get Alpha Striked and probably wiped out.
Yeah.
So using that means you're going to get a lot more chip damage.
Not going to use a lot of defense though. If that's the case, are you?
Yeah, but if you think what's going to go through you anyway, if they die, you're just going to lose the unit anyway. So I'm just gonna give it up.
Far more reliable as well, rolling.
It might also like force them to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
If they're like, well, actually, I'll fight somewhere else then, or might even make them fight there first. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird.
They're good options. You could see these seem to have been put in as ways to balance out your particular flavor of army, whichever way you've gone, and shore up its weaknesses. So seems strong.
I think you're going to take Call to Aid or Volley. If you've got a shooting army, you take Volley. Otherwise, you'll take Call to Aid. Call for Aid. I think it's pretty much always because you're going to have like units of 5 Libs or Judes, right? So
yeah, their range ain't short. So I think Volley is super solid.
The only reason you wouldn't is if you didn't have any in your army.
It's getting to do it in the hero phase is better for a load of other reasons as well. It could really make a difference to some movement stuff later in the turn or something like that. You could move to a place that you couldn't due to when shooting happens or something similar. So that seems like my favorite. 10 Judicators for the win and a block as well. All right then, Stormhosts.
Yeah. So
trying to give us the whistle stop tour. There's 8.
I'll rattle through them. So I'm just going to go quickly. So Hammers of Sigmar, 12 inches of objective as a 6-up ward. Hallowed Knights. If a Redeemer model is slain within 3 of the enemy on a 4+, they can fight before removed. Vindicators. In the start of the combat phase, pick a Vindicate unit that charged. Every time you roll a 6 to hit, you get 2 hits instead of 1. Anvils has got this deathly aura, so at the end of the charge phase, you roll 2d6 for each enemy unit within 1 inch of any Anvils or Heldenhammer units. If it's greater than their bravery, the first 2 wounds by attacks made by the enemy unit are negated. Then you've got Knights Excelsior. Once per turn, start the combat phase, pick a Knights Excelsior Paladin unit. It must probably be worth noting that Knights Excelsior, your Paladin's a battle line. Until the end of the phase, when you pick the unit to fight, pick one enemy within 1 inch of the unit. If the number of models in that enemy unit is greater than the number of models in the Paladin unit, add 1 to hit and to wound by the Paladins until the end of the phase.
Frequently, there will be more in that unit, but would feel sad if you were playing Gargants.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I think that you're quite often normally when people play Paladins, they would use them to Alpha Strike the big monstery thing, and you're never going to get it then. There aren't that many armies that have big units of infantry.
No,
like they just don't exist at the moment. I don't see it. Like,
to make the most of a buff, sometimes you would want to double the size of your unit as well. In which case that
and
makes
then
it
you've
harder.
just made it that you're not going to get it, and
it's not bad to buff 5 guys in a specific zone. Or something,
it's good if you're running annihilators because they're freeze, so you can they work in a lot more situations.
Don't need a hero about either, which is
no, it's just, and there's no cost to it. It's no command point or anything, so it's pretty good. Celestial Warbringers, reroll 1 hit, 1 wound by attack by a Warbringer unit, or 1 save. So once per phase, you get a reroll. That's actually really strong over a game.
Anyone who's played with Revenants knows how much that stuff sneaks through, even on a crappy unit. So,
but it's just every phase you get a reroll of something.
Yeah.
So it's just really strong. Like I can't really. It will do so much work for you. Yeah.
That screws probability, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's a shame it's not a run and a charge as well. It'd be obscene then.
It's not a shame.
Yeah. Tempest Lords, when you charge with a Tempest Lord unit, you can fly, you can reroll 1 of the dice of the charge roll. Again, if you're running dragons, it's extremely good.
Reroll 1 dice is better than reroll a charge as well. That's good.
Yeah. Beast Stalkers, friendly Astral Templar units, cannot be picked when your opponent makes out a monstrous rampage, which is pretty meh, particularly when you've got Hunters of the Halfland available.
Yeah, generally speaking, you've got the 2 units, and yeah. All right then. Thankfully, skip Path to Glory. There's enough in this book.
So out of the host, just because a quick one, like hammers, you probably always go hammers because so many of the units in the army are hammers.
Yeah,
and yet so many bonuses for being hammers, and a 6-up ward is good just on everything.
Elite army, you need to protect it. So for the same reason that wound debuffs is a good idea, that seems like a pretty solid option. Several wounds are model frequently as well, right? So that can mount up and be, you've got more opportunity for that to break even than you would do on like 1 wound guys.
Yeah, not terrible options and others. Hallowed, I do like the Hallowed Knight one, but it's only Redeemers, so it's a bit.
Yeah.
Then we've got some army specific grand strategies and battle tactics. So honestly, the grand strategies, you're probably never going to run any of these because they're worse than the ones in the book. So
it's specific, yeah.
Not going to cover those. The battle tactics, though, there are some quite good ones in here. So like you've got like not Pioneers around, that's not a good one.
Skip the city, well, that's weird.
So no challenge too great. You complete this tactic if an enemy hero is slain by wounds caused an attack by melee weapons by a Redeemer unit. So it's okay. Like if you know you're going to go into a hero, there's a hero fighting unit and it's already low on damage, you're probably going to get that. Hammer Strike Assault. Pick 1 hero in your opponent's starting army that has wounds of 10 or more and has 0 wounds allocated. You complete the tactic if the hero is slain. So that if you go in and go and kill someone anyway, it's
not melee either.
No,
just slain. So yeah, and in an army where you can add up chip damage, and shooting damage, it should be fairly reliable.
Yeah, you should be able to do 10 wounds on a model in a turn, right? Then next one, no, you're never using it. You know, they've got to have a bravery of 10, and you get, if some models run away, it's very situational. You might use it, but they could just inspire presence. Right, so it's like, why would you give up your battle tactic for a command point? Draconif Destruction, pick a unit in your opponent's starting army. It's on the battlefield that has 10 or more models. You complete this if it's destroyed by wounds and attacks made by Draconif, Stardrake, or Draconif units during the turn. If you've got a Draconif, Stardrake army, and they've got any unit of 10 models, you're going to do that.
Not melee either.
No.
Even. Just delete a screen and still be happy about it.
I guess you wouldn't get it from mortal wounds, though, because it says wounds caused by attacks.
Yeah. Still got the option to shoot it with 2 units adjudicators and then do the last 3 wounds with a Dragon Breath or whatever, though. So
yeah, well, the brow, I don't think the breath would count. So yeah, mortal wounds. So
combat.
You would have to charge. Yeah. So a matter of honor. Pick one monster in your opponent's starting army. You complete this if it's destroyed by wounds caused by attacks by friendly Draconif or Star Trek units during the turn. So it's like bring it down, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Gives you two similar ones, which is quite nice because often you run out of easily doable ones before, turns 4 or 5. And if your opponent's got lots of monsters, then great. Well,
there's 3 of those that are quite easy if you're running Draconifs, like, that if you're running that army, and you've also got the normal ones. I think
sense of the books being pushed in one direction slightly.
Yeah. Maybe. I think if you attack, I think mortal wounds from an attack would count. I think I'd have to double check it. I think wounds, mortal wounds. Someone will tell me in the comments.
Yeah,
I always worry about when I say things like this, and it's like I need to double cross-reference something, and I don't really want to stop the show.
We've got helpful people.
Yeah,
helpful. Just be polite at the same time.
Core battalions, they get some special battalions. Not really that interested in those, but they're there. You can see them.
Yeah, they're like, I see these as ways to top up the other ones, basically. So if you can get 5 in this, and then you can get 3 in that, then why not?
Yeah, it's okay. I just think that the basic ones are better.
All that's left is the scrolls.
Right, there's a lot. So
there's 78, guys.
We are not going to read out every rule and go through everything. So we're going to go through some of the things that have changed that are notable. So,
and I'm going to struggle to find points values because I'm dyslexic. And look at this. What on earth is this crap?
2 pages.
Are you kidding me? That's more than cities.
Yeah.
From one race. Anyway.
So be careful with your code there, Byron. You didn't show it, but
you can have my code. I'm not going to use technology. Do
that. The Prime, 3-up armor save. So he's got a couple things that have buffed him. So he's got a 4+ ward save, which he didn't have before, which is massive. It must be noted that because he's got 8 wounds, he's a sub commander. So he gets lookout, sir. He gets cover. He goes in all the formations as any leader. So it's really useful.
Is it his time?
It's not, because there's another Prime that's better than him. But anyway, he gets an extra attack. So he starts with 3 base attacks. It's damage free, rend free, freeze 2s. Rend free is massive. I actually think he's really good.
Warder 4+ due to heroic actions is now worth. On a low wound hero is preferable and better and amazing. Yeah.
And he comes down, gets extra attacks as he always did. He's still got his Comet Strike Scepter, but it's slightly different. But it's a 3-inch radius, so guaranteed, and it's D3 mortal wounds. There's no roll, it just does it.
Yeah, still 24-inch range, tasty.
And then you've got the Aurea of Celestial Fates. So once per turn, before you make a hit, wound, or attack, a save roll or a charge roll, you can say you'll see the future and you just fix the results. So basically, you're guaranteed to charge or to save or to hit or whatever. So it's definitely got better. I think he's still over 300 points.
B25.
Yeah. So, but the 4-up ward's massive.
Oh, that's all right for the amount of wounds, and I think being less is convenient for a load of reasons. Never mind battalions and other stuff. So cheap flying things onto slightly more expensive flying things.
Right. Dragon characters, love them or hate them. So we got the Mufasa of dragons, which is Crondris. So they got 18 wounds, 3+ save, moves 14 inches, which is quite a lot. It does degrade, but that's still amazing. He's a wizard. He gets 2 casts, which is pretty strong. Obviously, he's Thunderstrike. He's Draconif, hero, monster, wizard. Got all the keywords.
Got 600 points as well.
He is, but he's well worth. It's like cheaper than Kragnos. So he's got -1.
That's not fair. You can't pick Kragnos. Pick something that counts. Okay.
Cheaper than Raffi. Cheaper than Lariel.
Yeah.
I can go on. -1 from the attacks of melees that target this unit, just because.
Yeah.
He's got a 18-inch range breath weapon, which is on a 3 to 4 D3 on a 5 to 6 D6 mortal wounds. So
hasty.
Then his tail is equal to the number of models within 3, and that's freeze, rend 2, damage 2. He's still got 4 attacks with his maw, which is freeze and 1s. Goes up to 4s as he gets hurt. Rend 2, damage 3, and 3 attacks from his talons. So he's got rend 2 across the board. So,
yeah, I just noticed that. 1, 2, and 3-inch attacks as well.
He also gets bonuses to cast. So he's at +3 to cast when he's unhurt. It's interesting that it's not to unbind. It's just casting rolls.
That's good. I think it's already pretty tasty. If that was the thing, that would be prohibitive.
Then he's got a temper spell. So it's on a 9, range 24. Pick any unit within range. Pick one of the effects. Blinding Gales, -1 to hit rolls. Meteor Hail, worse than the Rend. Why not? Lightning Vortex, subtract 1 for the attacks of missile weapons used by units a minimum of 1. Or Flesh Freezing Blizzard, subtract 1 from save rolls.
Like, this is all too good.
Yeah.
That's, like, he's missing a ward. Thank everything.
Yeah. Like, if he had a ward save, he would be retarded.
Yeah, he'd be problematic, wouldn't he? Like, that is really strong. Yeah. Little more to add. That's nuts.
Just for people wondering, you can't give these guys mount traits because they're unique. Karazai, the Scarred. He's basically the same. He's not a wizard. He gets 2 extra attacks. And
Rend 3 on his jaws.
Yeah. So he's slightly better in combat. And then he's got this rule, which is each time this unit destroys an enemy unit, apply the relevant effect. If it's a hero monster, add 1 to attacks and melee weapons by the unit for the rest of the battle. If it had a wounds characteristic of 3 or more was not a hero monster, add 1 to run and charge rolls. And if it had a wounds characteristic of 2 or less, you can heal a wound allocated to this unit.
Why wouldn't you have the wizard?
No, I don't. I just think you take the wizard every time. Like, why would you take this guy?
Agree.
He's got 500. Same points? Yeah, you take the wizard every time.
Yeah. Krondis and Karazai are both 600. Yeah.
Yeah, you never take Karazai. So
it's not even a discussion.
Unless you have both, then you might take one of each. But you just take the Star Drake, I think.
Yeah, the non-wizard one looks less smug and more cool.
Yeah, this is the Scar from The Lion King. Is it Scar? What's it? Yeah. It's Mufasa and Scar, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got the same face. It's like,
I mean, you just from the they cost the same points, which has more rules, and it starts by saying wizards. I've done.
Yeah.
Or the selection for his spell is obscene.
Yeah. Plus, you've got the spells in the lore you can take. So.
Oh, it's just mental. Subtract 1 from hit, worsen the rend. These are casting value of 9, but he's at +3, so read that as 6, and that means that you might make it undefensible as far as your opponent goes pretty frequently. So subtract 1 from hit rolls, worsen rend by 1, subtract 1 from attacks characteristics of missile weapons, could be particularly useful. Subtract 1 from save rolls. The target, they're all great, and on a 6 they would be a joke, which is what they effectively are. So.
And then you get to do your 18-inch -1 to wound thing for everything on a 3+ with an 18 which is cast on a 6, so he's still not on a 4+, 3+ on 2d6.
Yeah, and if you hit that 10, then it's indefensible if people don't have bonuses.
It's not like he's fast and
if you hit that 9,
the table and killing stuff. So
he is thus far looks like an absolutely no-brainer choice.
And he makes on 1+. The new Draken's battle line, so he's got the Drakenif keyword. So
solid. Okay, so dragons seem good.
Yndrasta.
Yep.
So she's basically the prime alternate. So she's been in the box set. We've talked about her before. She's not really any different. 8 wounds, 3 up save, 4 up ward, exactly the same as the Prime. The difference is she's cheaper, but she's got this. Once per turn, you can return a slain model to every Stormcast unit with wounds for 3 or less within 12 of this unit. So she could regenerate your Stormcast. So it's quite good.
She makes dragons fight on their low profile as well, which is sorry, not monsters, which is really good actually.
Yeah, and she also you don't take battle shock within for Stormcast and cities units wholly within 12.
Not a build, not a thing you spend, just happens. Yeah. So yeah.
So she's like, but the good thing about that as well, like you just set her up at the beginning of the game where you don't want to be battle shocked. So she's like your support one, but her damage output's still good. So and she's got a shooting attack, which is the Prime's better in combat, and he's way more aggressive as a surgical strike piece. Yeah, but she's great, and she over a game you're going to get more value out of her, I think.
Yeah, Prime is Lone Ranger. She is Force Multiplier.
Bastion.
Sweet. Bastion, best shoulder pad in Warhammer. Let's go.
So 8 wounds, 3 up save. Still a sub commander, if you notice the theme here. 4 attacks, freeze 2s, rend 2, damage 4. He's Hammers a Sigma, of course. Once per turn, you can pick an enemy unit on the battlefield, roll a number of dice equal to the wounds characteristic of that unit. For each 6, they take a mortal wound. There's no range on that. You just pick a unit, enemy unit, and you roll a dice for their wounds characteristics. You pick a Mega Gargant, you can roll 35 dice. Every 6 up, they take a mortal. It really adds up because you just do it. He's start of the first battle round. You can pick D3 Hammers and Sigmar units on the battlefield and set them up again, so you can redeploy. He's got a 4 up ward. He can issue a command ability to Hammers and Sigmar unit anywhere on the battlefield without spending a command point once per turn. So he's super efficient.
Yep. And
then at the end of a phase, if an enemy model was slain by wounds by his attacks, you can heal all wounds allocated to this model. So if he kills something, he just heals to full.
Super solid. I can't find his points. I'm failing.
I think he's like 300 and something.
Low 300s. He's kind of on par with the other ones that are around that theme.
Yeah. But, just really good.
Solid. Anywhere on the battlefield without a command point being spent is tasty.
It's so efficient. The good thing is if you're playing against monsters, his Mortal Wound Thunderborn ability is just nuts. Chip damage. Even if they've got 18 wounds, you're doing 3 mortals a turn.
Yeah.
And it doesn't cost you anything. There's no like, it's just great mortal wound chip damage.
Absolutely.
So you wanted to know Bastion's points.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it? He's 300. Because he's Lord Commander Bastion Carphalos.
Oh,
single unique. Because you're looking probably under B. What I was doing under B. Going, where is he?
Yeah. 300 seems alright. He's slower, but he can affect table wide and stuff like that. So he's still going to be doing stuff before he gets into combat.
I think he's solid.
Absolutely, solid is the word.
Still a sub commander.
Yeah, that is everyone.
They're all sub commanders. They've all got 3+ saves. Vandus is auto include for what he does.
Okay.
In my opinion, if you're playing hammers. Well, he's got a decent attack profile. He's got 9 wounds. He's a 3 up save. Really, the thing is, he gets +2 when he charges, so he gets 5 attacks. They're damage free on his Heldenson. He does mortal wounds with his breath weapon. But really, it's just you do not take battle shock tests for hammers and Sigmar units wholly within 24. No command ability, just always on.
That'd be good if that's where it stops, isn't it? What happens next?
Once per turn, start of the combat phase, you can pick a Hammer Sigmar Redeemer unit wholly within 12, add 1 to the attacks of the melee weapons to the end of the phase.
Yeah.
And it's not a command ability either.
No.
So It costs you 0 resource. You're getting immune to battle shock and +1 attack. And I believe he's quite cheap.
I will try and find him while you talk about the next person, depending on my ability to not fail at that.
So
215.
215.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cheap. I think it's cheap. Event is Fire Strike. So this is the Taurolon. Basically, Comet Trail. You get to add 1 to hit rolls for friendly Hammer Sigma units within 3 of this unit. So what's good about that is before you had to do something like moving over the enemy, this is just once if you're near your own units, they get +1 to hit. So that affects shooting. You've got that Cycle of the Storm where you can stop a unit dying.
Yep.
So you can heal a wound. So it's quite good because any Stormcast Eternal model.
Yeah, good on elite stuff.
Well, you can do it to you can even do it to unique characters and stuff. It's really good on Bastion because basically you kill you if he's fighting a unit like on one and they kill him, he doesn't die, and then he kills something back, he heals to full wounds.
Nice.
Because it's a good combo. So he can basically wade into something and go, I'm basically immune. You can't kill me, not unless you could go twice.
Not too bad. It's got a heal as well. D3 wounds in a hero phase.
Yeah, and it's got a spell, do some more wound splash. So
Pokey splash, for 7.
These are basically all good versions of the hero, but they're all Hammers of Sigmar.
Yep. 325 for him, so all right. 2 spells.
3 up saves big as well.
Fairly solid resilience and a decent move at that. Not a bad attack profile.
No, and just like being within 3 inches of your own units to give them +1 to hit is good.
Absolutely. Like an Arcan piece, basically. Any solid, but not nuts.
But it's really weird because you can like move him, buff the units, then they can move off and charge, and then they get the bonus to the next hero phase.
Oh, you just put a mark on them.
So he can basically like wiggle around, like finish his move near some stuff, buff them all, they can all run off and do their thing, and then
move him first.
Yes.
Guys.
or move your units together, then move him between them. So it's one of those things. But he's quite fast. I mean, Astria, I don't know if she's changed much, but she's got this Sacrosanct unit, so Soul Energy. Start the combat phase, pick a Hammer's Sigma Sacrosanct unit wholly within 12, add 1 to save rolls.
Nice.
So if you've got Vandus and her, you could make a Sacrosanct unit +1 attack and +1 save and immune to battle shock. You've not even spent a command point yet.
Tasty. She's 195 as well, which is pretty cheap.
Yeah. And then she's got that Cycle of Storm ability to stop people dying as well. So she's really solid. Because she's a wizard. She's got a spell.
Charge rolls. Yep.
Subtract 1 from hit rolls made by enemy units within range.
Looking at her mount size, I'm not sure why she gets to reroll charts. I'm surprised to see anything.
It is like particularly derpy in the pictures, isn't it? It's like
I couldn't do that if I tried. Yeah.
Gardas, my man. Philip Schofield.
With or without hat. Yeah.
WeBuyAnyRound.com. So 6 wounds, 3 up armor save. He's got his War Cloak, so D6 shots, freeze, and 1/1 damage, 5 attacks. Freeze, red 1 damage 2. Friendly Hallowed Knight units wholly within 12 have a 5-up ward save, which is very good if you're playing Hallowed Knights.
Force multiplier, please.
Roll a dice each unit's destroyed. On a 2+, he can fight before he's removed. And once per battle at the start of your charge phase, you can declare a Saintly Assault. Until the end of that turn, you can reroll charge rolls for Hallowed Knight units wholly within 12 of this unit and add 1 to the attacks characteristic of many weapons used by Hallowed Knight's heroes wholly within 12 of this unit.
Not a command ability.
No.
160 points.
Yeah. He's Gardas, so he's awesome. I won't hear otherwise. Cestant on Stardrake, more wounds now, 18. I think I had 16 before.
Yeah.
Significant thing is Rain of Stars has changed. So now it's just a normal shooting attack, but it's freeze 2's rend 3, damage 2, and you start off with 4 shots, 30-inch range.
So the table, the entire bloody table, 42-inch effective range.
And you've got the arcane lineage, add 1 to casting rolls. I can't read within the distance, it's all blurry.
And subtract 1 from casting rolls for enemy wizards within 18.
18, okay.
Yeah. So that's as was. Still tasty, particularly given their magic deck is now obscene, and you could have a dragon next to him if you were really balls deep on magical dragons, and he could be a +4 or something like that.
Yeah, he's got his modified bounce back wounds, and once per battle, he can issue a command to a friendly Stormcast as long as you're wholly within 12 without a command point being spent.
Do these guys get, now you've got great big massive wizard dragons, is he still a thing?
Yeah, because you can have artifacts and traits, and you can have mount traits as well. So retreat and charge, you can give him like the mirror shield. You can give him the 12-inch guaranteed charge dropping from the sky. There's loads of stuff you can do. So what you can do is you can give him like the mount trait for the luck stone, and then the mount trait, and then you can basically like for retreat and charge drop him down, charge guaranteed. Then you can next turn you can retreat and charge what you want basically. So
in an elite army, if you're taking him, then like is it a big dragon, or do you think 2 is okay? So 1100 points is quite a lot to spend, isn't it?
I think you just take 1. You could take 2, but I think you need other stuff in your army.
Oh, you're basically going to have not any points left for heroes at that point. No. Or like 1.
You basically run 2 dragons and 3 units of 2 dragon riders, and then you're basically at 2,000 points.
Okay.
Because it's like 285 for 2, right?
It might not be a bad army necessarily.
Oh, it's not a bad army. Because you're at 1955 is Chondrus plus Stardrake plus 3 units of 2 dragon riders.
Low mental load off your pop.
It will do some work. Put it that way.
All right, still in characters.
We've got a lot of these. I'm gonna rattle through these because we don't see them and they're not that interesting, and you can read what they do. Gav was a thing that you almost saw a lot, but he doesn't have that pluses to your charge rolls anymore, basically.
Yeah.
But the important thing to note here is a lot of these characters have gone up to damage 2 from damage 1. So he's now got like 5 attacks at damage 2. They've all got like 3 up armor saves, so they're pretty good. But I'm not gonna go through these because basically we'll be here all night. So
Never sure does stuff. Need Black Talon can teleport. Lord Arcanum has an orb.
So he's Lord Arcanum's a non-named Taurolon we talked about. They have got quite interesting, so they're quite a good option. Lord Celestin
1
Drakov,
spell though instead of 2.
Yeah. He's not as good as Vandus if you're playing hammers, so just take Vandus. He does get to once per battle. He can issue all out attack to a Stormcast unit without the thing being spent. You've got different choices of weapons, so he's all right.
Not hugely defensible.
No.
7 wounds, 3 up save, slowish. Yeah.
The Lord Arcanum on Dracoline. If you're taking Dracolines, you want the pack alpha, so add 1 to the attacks and monstrous claws used by Dracoline units older than 18. Stormlance spell is meh, so don't care. Now, the one chamber that I think has really suffered in this book is I'm going to get it wrong, it's not the Vanguard chamber, because they've always never been that good. So, like, you've got your Griff Charger, Lord Arcanum, Ride the Winds. Yeah, and the Aquila. And they're okay, but they're not that exciting. I mean,
Ozbug beak.
Yeah, he's got his beak. I mean, the Vanguard stuff isn't brilliant, to be honest. Like Paladors and Raptors aren't brilliant, and models are nice. I mean, they are sub commanders. You do have healing light off of the Arcanum on Griff Charger, which is you can heal D3 wounds, and if it's on an 8+, you can heal D6 wounds. So it's quite nice if you want someone to follow behind your dragons, healing them up.
Yeah. I got one spell there, and that law's so tasty, you'd probably be using something else.
Yeah, most likely. Lord Imperatant is pretty good. He's from the box set. Obviously, the Guided by Lightning ability is probably why you'd take him if you're playing Scions, because you can set up 7 away rather than 9. So it's just more chance to charge. He can also do a command ability without a command point being spent. So you can notice there's so much stuff that does what command points do, but doesn't cost you a command point. So it's super efficient.
Include him, add cogs, make charges, would work out very tastily.
Yeah, particularly as he can cast cogs, because, no, he can't. He's not a wizard, is he? No.
Right, I'm sure you'll be fine with your wizard and
bazillion other
dragon.
Wizards, yeah. Normal Lord Celestant, again, he's up to damage 2 of his 5 attacks. If he rolls a 6 to hit, he gets exploding, and he can issue all that attack for free, basically. Relictors. So you've now got the Lord Relictor. You also have a Knight Relictor. So he's still got the healing. So it's a prayer. So you get +1 to chant rolls, but basically these are all prayers. So you don't get to do these in addition, like you used to be able to do this and a prayer. You just get one.
And it's only a 2/3 chance.
Yeah. And he's kind of gone down in value a little bit, because you can't like translocate then Lightning Storm or translocate then heal.
So anyone who's gone down in value in a book this elite you're going to struggle to get a look in, aren't you? Unless it's that, your favourite model and you got 160 points left or whatever they cost.
The Lord Castellan's weird, because what they've done is you get the Griffhound and it follows him around. So they've increased the wounds, but he's got a free up armor save. So it's like the Griffhound gives him extra free up armor save wounds. So he's got 8 wounds now instead of 6. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's all right, isn't it?
He's got a damage 2 halberd with 4 attacks. You get 4 attacks off the little beaks. You still get to do the pick a friendly Stormcast total unit whole of an 18, or one enemy unit. If you pick it, you get +1 save still, or 2+ D3 mortal wounds, and there's no roll. It just does it. He's still pretty much an auto include, in my opinion, if you can fit him in. It's just
the ifs.
Because what would be important about this? That stacks with Mystic Shield, it stacks with all that defense, it stacks with Finest Hour. It's just it's such good value. Like, it's such a long range as well.
Yeah, or even if you didn't want to use Mystic Shield, because the entirety of your other spells deck is super tasty, gives you an option.
Lord Exorcist has got interesting. So the Lord Exorcist has this Redemptor casket. Slain models cannot be returned to enemy units that are within 9 of a friendly model with this ability. So that basically means that you can stop models being returned to units. So
it's 170 points.
He's expensive,
yeah,
but he is a wizard. He's got a free up armor save. He's got 4 attacks at damage 2, and he's got a spell which you basically roll a dice for each enemy unit in range, add the bravery. That unit's bravery to the roll. If it's 12 or less, they take D3 mortal wounds. So it's okay.
Yeah.
But it's interesting just to stop people returning models, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Although if they've got something that means that they replace models, then that wouldn't affect them.
Yeah, I don't think it works with the new horror scroll, because they've stopped them being slain, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
The FAQ changed it, so...
my first thought. Veritant seems vanilla AF.
8 wounds, free up save. He can unbind, but he's a priest, and he's got the totem keyword. And the prayer is pick an enemy unit within range invisible, they take D3 wounds, but you've also got access to curse, which is very good, of the generic prayers.
55 points. I know he's got 8 wounds. And they've got all of these guys they've gone up in points, and they're fairly pointed for their increase, but it still is going to have an effect on your army. So
yeah, I think a lot of the time you wanted him to be
155 on 60.
You'd rather they were like 80 points with like hardly any wounds and stuff, just because you want the buff. You didn't actually want them for anything else other than their abilities.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, I'm not saying it's not bad. It's probably how it should be. You shouldn't just be chucking in endless stuff. But around 150 points, like that adds up fast, and is also the price of one of your battle line units that are quite good. So I think you're going to frequently see people having a slot free for, you know, one of the 35 heroes that they can pick from that's around that points value. And they'll put in their favorite model, one that happens to work well with their army, but or you know they want curse or something like that. Yeah.
Lord Alternator again, 3 up armor save. You think he's to be a 4 up, 5 attacks, damage 2.
Bolt throwers.
Well, it order war machines, and if you're playing Stormkeep, you can take cities units, so it's not bad. And there is a formation with 3 artillery and a hero, so there is a formation for him. I think gives you all that attack, so it's not bad. Like but again, I think there's so much competition for heroes.
He's a bit cheaper, 130, so that might help.
Lord Arcanum, he's a 1 cast wizard. This one, 4 attacks at damage 2 again.
Like the storm ability that we've already covered.
Yeah, and then the other thing is when moving a predatory and a spell controlled by this unit, add 6 to the distance it can move, which could be quite useful.
Yeah, got to subtract 1 from hit rolls for a unit, but you know you've got that from elsewhere.
Drakesworn Templar, 4 up armor save dragon. I think he's still like ridiculously expensive. I'm not sure you'd take him.
You just lose something and pay more
just
for the other.
The normal one. Yeah, it's the same issue. It's got quite a nice anti-monster lance thing, but it's only damage 1 normally, so it's like, it's just not that interesting. I think how many points is he? Still like 400 or 500?
If points are tight, then maybe you'd take him, I guess, but I can't find anything. Drake's 455. That's too close. 45 points. Yeah, just scrimp elsewhere.
Yeah.
For 1 save on your 18 wounds. Yes, please.
So, Knight Draconis. So he's the new hero. Drake dude. 11 wounds for a 3+ save. He's got the Draconic Flame Stream, which is basically on a 3-4 D3 mortals, on a 5-6 D6, 12-inch range. 4 up ignore spells if you want to, or end spells. Once per battle, you can pick a friendly Storm Drake Guard unit holding within 12 that's not made a shoot and attack that phase that can shoot. So in the hero phase, you can do that. So it's quite a good combo if you take the Holy Command as well, which allows you to do a shoot attack in your hero phase. Because what you can do is you can use their ability to move, then he can make them shoot, and then the other unit can shoot with a command ability. So you could shoot both units of mortal wound breasts. So you get to do quite a nice combo on that.
Delete a screen before movement. Not bad.
Rend 3 with 5 attacks, freeze 2s, rend 3, damage 2 is pretty good.
Move 12 seems fine for 255.
It's a bargain.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, 4 attacks, freeze, rend 2, damage 2 on the beast as well. It's a monster keyword. So objectives, it counts. Stomps, you know, it's all, you know, even monstrous duel. If you go into another monster, and he's got the drag to Tempest rule. So after all of the attacks have been resolved, pick an enemy unit within 1 inch of this unit, roll a dice. The roll's greater than the wounds. You pick a model in that unit, the model's slain. So
tasty.
Knight Relictor.
It's got that rule.
He's a baby Relictor. I like the model a lot.
But 40 points.
Basically, you can
sad.
Bounce prayers. No one cares.
On a 4+. If someone's wholly within. No. Next.
Knight Judicator with Gryph-hounds. This is one that's been previewed. I think you can actually pre-order this model, unlike a lot of the other ones in this book. So he's got a 3 up armor save with 5 wounds, 30-inch range, 2 dice, freeze 2s, rend 3, damage 3, and then a crappy combat profile. The first time he's set up, you must summon a unit of Gryph-hounds because it's 2 models. So that's actually a separate unit, which is quite nice. And he's got
5, but you get some dudes with him.
The Gaze of Sigmar. Once per battle in your shooting phase, you can say unit withdraw the Gaze of Sigmar. Instead of attacking with his missile weapon, pick a point within 30 and roll a dice for each enemy unit within 6. On a 4+, they take D3 mortal wounds.
Nice option to have.
It's quite a lot of damage.
Yeah, it is.
He is a Thunderstrike Knight Judicator. So I don't know what his points are, but the Knight Judicator. I'll let
with the Griffhounds, 205.
Yeah. It's okay. I mean,
you get a unit with him.
Yeah, I don't know whether you just take a unit Adjudicator, so we need to get a battle line choice. Probably does more. Vexler, so always been solid staple. Got up to damage 2 with his attacks. You've still got the Meteoric Standard and the Penitent Stormbringer. So obviously Penitent Stormdragon is pretty much the one you take. Because it's in the movement phase. Soul Charged Icon, reroll charges within 12. It's good.
Nice,
nice
ability. Yeah.
Now, the the Banner of Apotheosis Knight Vexler.
40 points more. Better be good.
Well, once per battle in your hero phase, you can pick 3 friendly Stormcast turn units wholly within 12. But you can pick the same unit multiple times. So basically, you heal up to or return models D3 wounds worth, or 2D3 wounds worth, or 3D3 wounds worth. So a 3D3 heal on a big monster is pretty strong.
That's great.
They're not unique, so you could have multiple. It works well in an army with lots of units. It works well in an army with high
quality
units
stuff
or high quality stuff.
Still get reroll charges.
He's still got 4 attacks with damage 2. I do like him a lot.
160 points, yeah.
He's a good hero. Nice model as well.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're paying for multiple, though, then you've got less stuff to benefit from it, and it
depends, though, doesn't it? Because if you get back a Fulminator with it,
or you just Alariel up.
It's already got 100 odd points back, so it's or you take a dragon from 5 wounds left to back up to 11 wounds. He's paying for itself.
Yeah, you could see people targeting these first potentially as well, which kind of does the same job.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of does the same job without doing it, and you still got the heal, because if they don't kill him, he heals himself. So it's
and you get to fight at the top of your profile or something. So,
but it's mega efficient because you can put I'll put 2 on this, 1 on that, or put 1 on each of these things, so you can spread it out. So if someone's doing chip damage to all your heroes,
if you got 2 as well, depending how your rolls would go, you can. I got a 1 on that D3, therefore I'll get 2 D3 on the next or whatever.
Yeah.
Tasty. Conventional Venator without dogs.
Yeah. So 5 wounds, Frip save, 30 inches, freeze, Ren 1/1 damage. Once per battle, can shoot. On a 3+, take D3 mortals. If it's a hero monster, it takes D6. It's okay. I don't think you'll see it.
He's 175 points for 35. For 30 points more, you can have some Griffhounds and Ren 3 shooting attack, and
he's just not
once
worth
a game damage.
He's not worth it.
Yeah, if you want someone at range to pick the other one, who comes the doggies.
Knight Azeros has got worse in my opinion.
Once per battle.
Again, once per turn at the end of the charge phase, pick a unit within 9 of this unit, add 1 to hit rolls in the following combat phase. So it's okay.
Ooh. Sorry, Cities of Sigmar.
But it's got worse because it only affects Stormcast. It's only combat, and it's not an aura. So it's
that's pushed the equity of some Storm.
Because it's also cities within 9. So if you drop down from the sky, you can't hit a unit, whereas it used to be 10.
That's changed Cities of Sigmar way more than a lot of people would realise.
And he's only got 5 wounds. So it's I think these 2 have kind of been left behind. They feel like they've got worse and haven't really got any.
They're ancient, aren't they? It's just like they've been forgotten in a pile of dust.
I mean, he does have the totem keyword, which gives you a command point issue 18 inches, but I don't really think anyone cares too much.
You get command points anyway. You get all your shit for free, don't you?
Exactly.
What's the literally? I've not. They're just going to get used on conventional ones because everything else isn't a command ability.
Mm-hmm.
Knight Arcanum next.
Yeah. Knight Incanter. So we'll skip the Knight Arcanum because basically it's in the box set. We talked about it already. It's not that interesting.
Yeah. No.
Knight Incanter, the thing that's changed here is the vials, like the blow-up vials. So you used to be able to go and do like D3 mortal, 3D3 mortals and take 3 wounds yourself. You can't do that anymore. It's okay.
You'll get auto unbind. That was the main reason.
Yeah, I mean,
the other stuff was a great plus, but that's what you took her for, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, it's the auto unbind is why you take her.
125, not bad.
I mean, 125 points for a spell scroll. It's pretty good. Still a wizard, still okay in combat. I mean, 3 attacks, damage 2. 3 up save is pretty good. Knight Zephyrus, whatever. I've never seen one. Pistol's got Ren 1, which is interesting when we get to the Raptors. The Knight Heraldor doesn't have the run and retreat and charge anymore.
Why would you take this model?
You just don't.
Because of his model. That's like as vanilla as it gets. He better cost like 2 points.
You pick a terrain feature on a 2+ to hit D3 mortals, but it's got to be wholly within 18.
That's absolutely useless. Basically, you're taking him for the fact that he's got hero written on him, which for 105 points is not worth it.
There's too many heroes to warrant taking
them. In this book.
The problem is you can't balance all these because there's so many. There's almost like a doubling duplication. There's 2 of each, and there's an extra one. So it's basically 3 versions of every hero. It's crazy. Night Quester.
His ponytail's even fading out on his picture when it's not on anyone else's. So
I've seen that.
Just saying with fading, literally and metaphorically.
Night Quester, just no. It's okay, but why would you? He doesn't have his ability that he didn't ignore Rend or anything like that anymore. He doesn't
has word hero on scroll and knight.
Vindictors.
Right.
These are redeemers, so they key off a lot of stuff. They're Thunderstrike, 2 wounds, 3 up save, 2-inch reach, 2 attacks, freeze, run 1/1 damage. If you roll a 6 to hit, it does a mortal. I mean, they're just great. I mean, I think their points they're not that expensive, are they?
They're wonderful to paint as well. Like really, really, really nice to paint. 130 for 5.
Bargain.
Yeah, absolutely. 10 is a knight. 10 is nice, right? I'd rather have.
Yeah. Because you don't care about the coherency because of the reach.
Yeah, 10, please.
I think they're super efficient. Everything you want, 3 up save, battle line unit into 10 models that can fight, and then you just go up to a 2 up with all that defense.
Plus, they're from the starter set, so people have got them. Wonderful to paint, fast to build. Yeah, exactly. They're going to get included by default before people have really considered them, aren't they?
They're still great, yeah. And they're redeemers as well, so they key off a lot of the special abilities. Hallowed Knights, they get to fight when they're on 4 up and stuff like that. So Vanquishers are a bit weird. So basically, they look amazing. They're basically Stormcast with double-handed greatswords.
Yeah.
They've only got a 1-inch reach, so big units are a bit. Then they've got a 4 up save, not a 3 up save.
You can only have a banner if they're 1 in 10 as well.
Yeah, and it add 1 to the bravery. Yeah, whatever. But then Musician is if they receive rally, you can roll a dice for slain model come back on a 5 instead of a 6.
You need 10 models for that though.
To have the Musician, but once it's there, you could be down to 4 models instead.
Oh yeah. But I mean, you've got to.
Yeah, well, that's the issue.
So they're there for resilience, but they're a 4+.
The problem is if you have 10 of them, they've only got a 1-inch reach, and then you've got the coherency rule stuff, and then all 40 mils. So
also, if you pick them for them coming back to life easier, why not just have them not die in the first place by having a better save?
You need to have a big unit of these because you get +1 attack if there are 5 or more models, and 2 attacks if they have 10 or more models in the unit.
Kind of like making up for their poopy reach. But
yeah, it kind of works that way. It's like, so you get basically 3 attacks a model as long as you've got more than 5, and then you get 4 attacks a model if there's 10 of them. So they're okay. They're cool models. I like them a lot. I think they're really cool, but I just don't think they're worth it over Vindictors.
Well, let's say someone does 2 mortal wounds to you and you unit of 10, you're going to feel bad.
But they don't do more, whereas the Vindictors even do mortal wounds on 6s to hit, so...
Yeah.
Which is... I mean, I don't know, how many points are they? Are they like
125?
So they're more expensive? Or it's about 5 points cheaper?
5 points cheaper. I just don't see...
Are they battle line? I guess they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird. Next.
Liberators. So they've just changed their weapons to like heaven wrought weapons. There's no different profile. 3s and 4s, -1 rend, 1 damage. One thing they have changed is Later Tyrants. So end of the combat phase, pick 1 enemy unit that's both within 1 of this unit and 6 of an objective. Roll dice on a 4+, they take D3 mortal wounds. So if you're saying Stormkeep, they take them when they come in, they take them when they hang around. You know, they count as free models. Same with all the others, they count as free models to objectives. So a unit of like 10 dudes will count as 30 models on an objective. So it's actually quite a nice...
115 as well. That's not bad.
You get +1 to save rolls if at least half the models are holding a shield. Which they generally will be, unless you've gone for double weapons. And then you've got the ground weapon, which is freeze, rend 1, damage 2. So pretty good.
Super solid. Loads of battle line options in this book. This is nuts in comparison to the destruction that we just looked at.
Yeah. Then you've got Sequitors. They're really good. Like, you know, 2 attacks, freeze, rend 1 damage. Great mace, freeze, 1 -1 2 damage. You could have 2 great weapons in 5. Start the combat phase, you can channel it into the weapons or into your shields. You could either have an humidified hit roll of a 6, does 2 hits instead of 1, or give them a 5+ ward save. So you can have a 3-up armor save for 5-up ward. Pretty solid.
45 points, not too shabby.
No, they're pretty cheap, really, for what you're getting.
Kind of like what the Vanquishers do, but they just do it by existing instead of by having to do anything cute.
Plus, you get the bonuses of Astraeus Soulblight, where they get their Sacrosanct, they get +1 attack, you can get +1 save, you without any ability. So you can actually get all of the buffs without spending any command points.
Yeah, badass.
So...
Judicators.
Yeah, so Skybolt bows.
2 attacks.
2 shots this time, and they do mortals on a 6 to hit. So pretty good. I think they're like 200 points now, though.
Yeah, they are. The other thing is, it looks better than it is as far as an upgrade because the champion doesn't explode into D6 hits any longer. So somewhere between the two, they are 200 points. Yeah, somewhere between the two, adding 1 to the attacks characteristic.
Well, the shock bolt bow kind of does, just got D6 shots, right? So it's like you can give him that as well, and he still gets +1 to the attacks of that bow. So
yeah, they're not bad for 200.
But it doesn't do mortals on a 6. So the shock bolt bow won't do mortals on a 6 because it's only the sky bolt bow does it. So
I think you just take that instead because you got...
I think if I was trying to be efficient on rolling, I might not even take the shock bolt bow.
Yeah, agreed. Well, you could have 3 attacks with your skybolt bow, and 50% of the time you're going to do
a mortal.
Yeah. Yeah. Only rend 1, still range 24. Their melee profile might have changed with them getting rend 1 on it, but I'm not certain about that. Solid though. Obviously, if you've got any way to shoot twice or hero face shooting or something like that, a unit of 10 of these isn't as mad as it seems. I don't think at all.
No. Then we've got the Bolt Storm crossbows.
18-inch range.
2 shots, freeze, no rend, 1 damage. But if you hit, you get 2 hits instead of 1. So it's basically up to 4 hits a model.
Great at killing crap.
The only thing that annoys me about this is that you don't have any rend, whereas the bolt pistols have rend. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, why does the big crossbow not have any rend on it? It's a crossbow. Like in the old Warhammer world, Crossbows were strength 4, bows were strength 3. And I'm like, it should feel like it hits harder, but it just does. It hits more often and does less. It just seems a bit weird.
I think you need to stick a mace in your crossbow if you want it to work like the castigators, though, don't you?
A little exploding lantern. Well, this is a unit I don't think you'll see at all. Yeah, I mean, you can have an extra rend, but yeah, they're just bad. I don't. Rather do mortals. Vigilers are a bit different. So they're the new Judicators. So they're like 18-inch range, 2 shots, freeze, 1 rend, 1 damage. But what it does do is so that if in the shooting phase, if any wounds are caused by their bows, you can add 1 to hit rolls for attacks that target you until the end of the turn. So that's in combat and in shooting. So you can basically shoot something with them first, and then you get +1 to hit for everything else that targets it. And that's at 18-inch range. So it's quite good if you wanted to drop from the sky.
You could split your shots as well.
Yeah. So you could basically ping a couple units just before you come in to do damage. So they're actually quite good.
It's like a buff wizardy. God, you could these guys have got so many different ways to get +1 to hit. Maybe they are like, yeah. Wow.
I think, are they a unit of 5 or are they units of 3? I can't remember.
Vigilance, they're 195 points, so I doubt that they're going to be wherever they went. Vigilance 195 5s.
Okay.
Battle line if it's a Knight Judicator general.
So quite nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty buff on 18-inch range, 3s and 3s, rend 1 shooting. Not too shabby. More crossbows. These are bigger. Oh, these get rend 2.
Yeah, but no. But no. So yeah, 2 attacks. They do 2 mortal wounds if they
Oh my god, their points. Are you
but you only get 3 of them and they're 230 points. So why would you take them?
Yeah, long strikes 240, hurricane crossbows 230. That is not enough wounds for that, and even if they do, headshots or whatever, just
no. And like the hurricane crossbows, you get 4 shots per model, so that's 3 of them, that's 12. So they can explode into 24 hits. Whereas the 5 Judicators with crossbows, you're getting 10 shots that can explode into 20, and you've got 10 wounds, and their battle line. It's like, I don't understand why you take these.
No, I agreed. The points value is kind of hilarious, really.
I would have liked to have seen the Aether wings tied up into their unit war scroll. Because they come as
have that without an increase.
But they come as a box set, right? Together.
Yeah.
So it would have been really nice if, a bit like the Gryph-hounds with the Lord Celestin, it would give you ablative wounds, and you could have like a special rule, like they could like intercept stuff or something. You could something like that. Like they could be like a bounce save on them or something. I don't know. They could have done something with that. So now we've got the new Stormstrike chariot.
This is going to be the first chariot that we see in the game with Age of Sigmar frequently.
How many points is it? I can't remember.
Stormstrike chariot is an amount of points somewhere also. It is 165.
12 wounds for a 3-up save, 12-inch move, 2 shots, freeze, 1 damage. Then you can either, if you take the bow, I think you either take that and the axe, or you take the axe and the spear. Rend 2 damage, 2 on the spear. You probably take that. It's -1 for hit rolls that target you.
It charged. Yeah.
And after it makes a charge, you roll a dice for every. On a 4+, they take a mortal wound for each dice. So, like, if you roll like an 8-inch charge, you roll 8 dice. Every 4+ is a mortal.
Yeah.
I think they're solid.
They are actually. Yeah. I don't think people find space for them, but they're absolutely fine, actually. And having some Rend 2 on a chariot is really quite nice with a decent / acceptable shooting profile. Like,
I just think they'd be really good at charging so and holding it.
Yeah, if not, and you could spike and wipe it out. Damage on the charge as well. If you've decided to go down the less shooting route,
I mean, they're fast, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. No, they're not too bad, actually. Props. Maybe we will see them somewhere.
Yeah, I think you will.
Aether wings are these. Did these guys go down in Valley? Because they used to be obscene, didn't they?
You can retreat and charge to attacks. Who cares about all that? Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by Vanguard Raptors if the target's within 12 of any friendly units of this ability. Yeah, you're not going to take Raptors.
Cheap. 65 points. You might take Aether Wings because fast
screen. Yeah, don't get that weird out of sequence thing anymore, but.
Nah, but in an army like Stormcast with points values like Stormcast, it's kind of like the Iron Jaws thing, isn't it? Like you may well have 80 points that you just can't do anything with, and if you don't want an endless spell, you're never going to cast it because
you'll 100% take these because it gives you something to charge, stop, unleash hell. They give you a screen, they give you something to block. I mean, it's just so cheap not to take them. They can retreat and still charge. I mean, that's going to come into it, but you know.
I love that they got like 0 keywords. Order, Stormcast, Aether Wings. They're not benefiting from anything.
One thing you can do, which is a bit cheesy, is you can use the spell to stop them piling in, and then you can tag an Aether Wing conga line on the side. And if the one model that can hit them can't do 6 wounds, then they can't go anywhere in their turn.
Yeah. Not a bad option. It's like the little KO bubble men. I've played with them in that fashion. It was surprisingly okay. Or like, and then one's alive and lamenting his soulmate dying. Oh well. Vanguard Hunters. Yeah. Says Vanguard is worth talking about.
They're okay. They're not that bad. So they've got 2 shots, 4s, 1 rend. They actually have rend on their pistols. So the big ones don't, but not even the big ones, but the little ones do. Has an astral compass. It can basically remove the unit, set it up, hold within 6 of an edge and 9 away, so you just teleport around the table.
125 points for a teleporting unit.
They're okay. They're only, I think they're battle line if Lord Aquila.
I mean, even if they're not battle line,
and they're freeze in combat to attack.
Vanguard Hunters are battle line in Astral Templar's army.
Okay. So I don't think they're that bad. Like,
no, definitely not. Like teleport is not to be underrated. No. It doesn't have a requirement or a role.
No,
or need a hero. Yeah, just do that thing.
So they're okay.
Lets you protect from deep strikes and stuff like that really well as well, because they can just sit way back, you know,
and then be relevant. Yeah.
Zoning off, and then they just go wherever they want.
A bit like the old Sylvaneth Kurnoff guys, isn't it?
The Revenants.
Revenants, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely. It's a really good ability on them, and these, I would argue, probably do more than them with their shooting. Because it's range 12, so when they teleport, they can shoot something.
Yeah.
No, useful unit, actually. I'd be taking those over the crappy heroes. If you don't want more heroes, which you won't, because you got some big ones.
Paladors. They've got a pistol. It's got rend. Or the javelin. So basically, they can do the Winds of Ferric thing. And there is now just pick it up, set it up 1 inch from all terrain, and objectives are more than 9 for enemy units. So there's no roll anymore. It's just pick them up to put them wherever you want. They're okay, but the damage isn't great.
Yeah, 15 wounds for 2 on 5 that teleports around on a 4-up save. Decent move. Some shooting is not bad. I think like both of these are things that I'd put in the place of a character of the appropriate points value potentially.
Yeah, I mean they're okay. I don't. Yeah, then we've got the Griffhounds, 9-inch move, 2 wounds. After it's fought, it can retreat 6, so it can go and attack and bugger off. If enemy reserve unit is summoned, is set up on the battlefield first time within 12, you can pick 3 Stormcast Eternal units holding within 12 of this unit to shoot. So they can shoot at stuff as it pops up.
Pick 3 units now, because you have to take 3 times as many of them. You need 6, and it's 110 points. They don't have a save.
Yeah, but really 12 wounds for 110 points that are quite fast, and
no, it's not bad.
They're a good screen.
The
only problem is they're 6s, aren't they? So you'd have to be in 2 ranks.
They're not a good screen. No,
Yeah,
I just
move
thought I went through the same process.
Speaking of good screens, prosecutors, probably about the only reason you'll see them. Yeah, they're not very good, but they've got this dispersed formation, so they're 3 inches apart. So it means that you can cover quite a big area.
Yeah. You can also slip through them though, which
you can charge through them, yeah.
Through them and around them with the right type of unit. Like cavalry would be all over that. Like Chaos Knights would just be like, oh, sweet. Well, thanks for letting me through. I don't care about coherency anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, bit weird. They're not expensive.
I think it's just because the models have got massive flappy wings and they're really hard to put into normal coherency. It's probably the only reason they have that rule. I guess the dragons will be the same because they're probably massive models with wings. So
yeah, melee 110. The shooting ones are 115.
Well, they both shoot, don't they? It's just that the javelins was perceived better, weren't they? They got a 3+ save, the javelins.
Yeah, and they charge 3d6, which I think, that's just tasty. It's a unique thing, so they're not bad for their points at all, really. 3 up save, so 6 wounds for that. It's nice to have a little unit running around, and they're just vanilla fast and can survive on their own. These have reroll.
Are they battle line in Tempest Lords?
Yes.
Yeah.
Solid option. 1 unit of them, 2 units of them. The moment you buff them up to a... Well, you could buff them up unit size as well, and because they've got a 3-inch reach, it wouldn't be so awkward. Oh, actually, wait there. If that's more than 5 model, yeah. So you could take them in big units, and it'd be kind of funny. Annihilators.
Yeah. So we've seen these 3 wounds, 2 up save, really slow, 3 attacks.
Impact hits.
We have annihilators with grand hammers.
There are a billion points. Are people going to take them?
3s and 2s, rend 2, damage 3 on those. How many points are they?
A billion. Splash, 240. Oh, yeah, 240 or 200.
Is 240 the
9 wounds?
Is that the grand hammers are 240?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Just like I know.
Why would you take that when you could take 5 retributors? Aren't 5 retributors like 235?
I can check, but I just think you'd take the others. Wouldn't you?
I don't know, because you're the extra rend, the extra wound roll, and the extra damage. Like, I know you've got a worse save, but they're not there to sub for save. I think they're there to go in and do damage.
Well, the others do both because they have the impact hits in the same fashion. They get there, and if they got there on terrain, it's just kind of hilarious. Like, someone's got rend 1, cool. Here's still a 2+ save.
Well, you just still out defense them, don't you? But I don't know. I think the annihilators with grand hammers are probably better for what they're doing when they're alpha striking.
Yeah, I just don't think you'll find 240 points that easily in this army. Like, stuff's going to be tight already, isn't it?
I think I missed the next page, because the next page I think is Paladins, isn't it?
Protectors, Retributors, Praetors, and Decimators.
It's just at the end. Because I took the pictures and I was like, why am I... Oh, I remember some of the pages. Like, the new books have got this weird, like, matte coating on all the pages. It's really weird. It's almost like it's just a really weird, like, shiny coating.
They refract light slightly differently, don't they?
Yeah.
It makes them... Maybe it's it's anti-photography. If you want to lead with these, you know a fair bit about Paladins, right? You run them quite a lot.
So, like, Protectors, but I don't know whether pictures a guy with a Star Soul mace, but there you go, must have run out of models. So 3 wounds, a 3+ save, 3-inch reach, 5 attacks, freeze, rend 2, damage 1, and then you add 1 to save rolls if at least half the unit are armed with glaives. So they used to do like D6 damage to monsters. It just seems to have gone. And then do not use the attack sequence for a mace roll on 2+, hit D3 mortals, but you don't have a glaive, so why would you not have 5 attacks at Ren 2 is probably better, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't take Star Souls, would you?
Well, the shields are quite important. Sorry, the glaive. Yeah, the glaive. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, because the glaive gives you 5 attacks, freeze, Ren 2, damage 1, and then you get +1 save.
2 up save, yeah.
So why would you take Star Soul Maces in unit? I don't get it.
Yeah, 2 up save really protects you pretty well from a crackback.
Plus, it's a 3-inch reach, not a 1-inch reach. So
reach is big, yeah.
How many points are they? Like 200, something like
that? I hope so. I don't think they're going to be more than 220. Protectors 225. Stand correct.
But you are getting like 15 wounds of a 3-up and you're getting like 25 attacks.
Yeah.
So, well, 2-up save basically. So they're way more point efficient than the
damage in a dot as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you want to localize damage in a tiny area, they're super efficient. Yeah.
Then Retributors, again, Lightning Hammers, 3 attacks, freeze, Ren 2, damage 2. I can't read the ability. I think it's if you roll a 6, it
Blast
does
to Ashes.
mortal wounds.
A modified hit roll is a 6, 2 mortal wounds, and attack sequence ends.
Yeah, so you wouldn't take the Star Soul on these either.
No.
But they're Ren 2 naturally anyway, same as the Protectors. They never used to be Ren 2, but they're damage 2, but if you roll a 6 to hit, they do mortal wounds, 1-inch reach. Yeah, I mean, like 2, 3, 5, are they? Like, again, they're cheaper than the Annihilators. You get 15 wounds.
5, yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got the Praetors, which are 3 wounds, 3-up save, with the halberd with even 1-inch reach, which I think is weird. Should be a 2, right?
Yeah, halberds should be.
Freeze, 1 Ren 2 damage. Then they get to protect a hero. To bounce wounds. I think they come in a unit of 3. They're the ones out of the box set, aren't they?
Praetors, yeah. 165 for 3. Can't make him battle line or anything.
Good protection for a hero if you want to keep something alive.
And their lower points value might just be helpful.
Yeah. They got to be near the hero as well, so it's okay. Decimators, these guys have got 5 attacks again. Freeze, Ren 2, damage 1. But you get +2 attacks if the number in the target unit is greater than theirs.
Yeah, they're the cheapest as well at 215. So
yeah, I mean, like I think all the paladins are fairly solid.
Yeah, they are.
They're just also battle line in Excelsior.
I think you just pick the one that is the antidote to the thing that your army can't deal with. Like if you can't deal with loads of people, then maybe you take decimators or like hordes or whatever. If you want resilience, then protectors, pretty tasty for the 2+. I just like reach. I think that's good. You're not going to take large units of anything but the protectors because of the reach issue, right?
I just don't think you just take minimums. You won't reinforce these.
Just ever.
You won't have the points. They're not worth it.
Well, if you're taking a paladin army, maybe I could see the protectors in a 10 or something. It's quite a lot of reliable damage and wounds in one location, isn't it?
I think for the points though, you're going to spend in 450, 60 points.
Yeah.
Whereas you could just have like 10 Vindictors.
Yeah.
Which have reach and I don't know, maybe. I mean, I kind of think Vindictors do a similar job and they're just like their battle line.
Yeah, done.
They do mortal wounds, and they're redeemers.
Yeah.
So if you're playing Stormkeep, you wouldn't take protectors. You might take them in Scions, but you probably take Retributors for the damage output for the mortals.
The battle line's good in this book.
I find it weird because like the Evocators, they're like the Annihilators. Sorry, they're like more expensive, but you get 2 less models, and I don't think they do enough to warrant the cost because they're damage 2, but you're only getting 3 attacks, whereas the others are damage 1, but they got 5 attacks. Or Retributors are literally like just better.
Yeah,
they've got a better save, but
Quickly better, and
you get more wounds and you get more attacks. So
yeah,
and more bodies for objectives. So yeah, I don't really see the point. And you never run a knight that's in a 6 because then you get into the problem of coherency. Whereas with the 5, you can string them in a line. So yeah, I don't really get that. I don't think Annihilators are very good.
The numbering's a bit weird, isn't it? I don't think they're a bad option for doing more than it feels like they should on a flank, but they have to make their charge, which is a bit of an issue with them. All right, then onto potentially the main event of the book.
This is the Storm Drake Guard.
Although they forgot to turn up to the starting line.
They're going to be late, but they'll get there.
I'm sure they'll get there bloody fast as well.
They're scaly like turtles, so.
All right, so Storm Drake Guard. Off you pop. You can do this one. You know more about them than I do, but I think they're
12-inch move, 9 wounds, 3 up save. I think they come as 2 for 285.
With a weird exception.
Yeah, they got a mortal wound breath. Only one model. They can do a monstrous regiments. They got monster keyword. Only one model can do a rampage. They got a champion. Gets +1 attack. The lance is extra rend, extra damage on the charge. I think you pretty much always take the lance over the blade, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, unless you had some mechanic that gave you... No, you just don't care. Yeah, you take the lance.
Yeah.
Reach too. Gives the option to poke over stuff. Always nice.
Then you've got the dragon's attacks. 4 attacks, freeze, -2, damage 2. So it's they've got a 4-up ignore spells. They've got the drag to Tempest, so pick enemy unit within 1, roll a dice. If the roll's greater than the unit's wound characteristic, your opponent must pick a model in the unit. The model is slain, so you can't snipe.
Yep.
This unit can make a normal move in the hero phase once per game. If there's any enemy units within 12, on a 2+, you can immediately charge. So that's super solid for ignoring Unleash Hell.
Yeah, and it's not at the start of your hero phase, so you can do whatever you like before it, which might involve
+1 save from the lantern
them across the table.
Because the thing is about the if you take multiple of the Castellan, it's not a spell, it's not a unique thing. It's just pick a unit. It's like, okay, well, I can do it as many times as I want then.
Stack it up, elite, yeah.
So like
just be sad if you faced like mortal wound shooting army. That'd be grim, wouldn't it?
No. What, with this? No, not really. Because they wouldn't be able to get near you. Because you just stay out of range, then you go, I'll move 12, then I'll move 12, and then because you can move 12 in the hero phase, then move 12 in your movement phase. You just move 24, then you can charge.
Yeah.
And you can do lots of stuff to stop them being able to shoot you by dropping a unit 7 away with rerollable charge and things like that. There's lots of ways around it. I don't know. I don't think you really care about mortal wound shooting, particularly if you've got... Because I don't think they're going to do enough to kill enough models.
Dragons flying everywhere. They seem very solidly priced as well. Like they're kind of like they're almost like a chimera each, and they're 220 points per monster. And yeah, they seem fine.
I think they're really good.
Yeah,
battle line if you've got a Dracofin in general. Obviously, if you take the trait, they're also -1 to wound you as well, just because you're a monster as well. So, then we got concussors, desolators, fulminators, and all that stuff. So, these guys, more wound breath on a 4+. So there's no medicals to hit on that. It's just 4+, take D3. So 6 wounds and a 3-up save on these. So obviously they count as 2 models for objectives. They're pretty good. They're elite, so they can issue commands. They're in unit. They don't have champions. 3 attacks. Freeze, rend 2, damage 2. And if you roll a 6, you do 2 mortals. Desolators. Basically, you're taking fulminators because they're just so much better. Because a fulminator is got 5 attacks. Freeze, rend 2, damage 1. But on the charge, they have a damage of 3 instead of 1.
5. Solid.
So you get 5 attacks at damage 3 with rend 2.
Yeah.
It's like So each one can do 15 wounds just from the rider.
You've got access to a -1 to save spell as well. From your big Dragon Man, which effectively makes that Ren 3. That's a horrendous amount of damage on the charge.
I mean, you've lost your bonus saves if you shoot through them. Same with the protectors. You've lost, like, they don't have a lot of those janky rules in the book anymore. It's a bit more streamlined. But I think Fulminators are 215 points for 2, something like that. They're quite cheap.
The Fulminators are 230 for 2.
Yeah, but like they're cheaper than 3 Annihilators, and you're getting 12 wounds for a 3-up save, a 10-inch move, with 2 mortal wound breaths, and a potential to do 30 wounds on the charge.
And it's just a one-man band.
And they become battle line in Hammers of Sigmar, which you're probably going to take anyway, because you only get a 6-up ward save. They're just like...
The fact that they count as more models because they're 5+ kind of makes them feel less bad as battle line as well. Don't get many, but they count as slightly more. Yeah.
They're Fulminators, and you can buy them individually. Like if you've got a hero on Drakov, then the one guy you got in your box set that you didn't build as the Celestin, you could build as something and take it individually.
Yeah, once.
It's the same with the Dragon Riders, because there's a Dragon Hero. Obviously, it's probably an option in the box. You would get 2, and then you build 1. The other guy would be like a random dragon. It's a bit like the old Pusgoyle or Blight Lords problem with Lord of Afflictions. Yeah, solid.
The Evocators?
Yes. So, these guys are basically your sacrosanct paladins, but they're not paladins. 4-up armor save, which is not as obviously not a 3-up, which is not as good. But 4 attacks, freeze, 1 damage. 3 attacks, freeze, no rend, 2 damage. They can empower. Pick a Redeemer or Sacrosanct and add 1 to wound rolls, so they can buff another unit with their spell. After it's fought for the first time, you can pick an enemy unit within 3, roll 2 dice for each model, and a 4+ take a mortal wound. So they're okay.
280, quite a lot.
Bit expensive. I don't think you'll see them anymore.
No, same. Cool models.
Yeah. Ballista, just the gun apparently, no crew. Just have the gun on the picture. 9 wounds. So 1 shot, freeze 2s, rend 3, damage d6, or 18 inches, 2d6, 4s, freeze, -2 damage. A lot of rend on that. Each time it shoots, choose whichever one you want to use. It's okay, but how many points? I think it's quite expensive, isn't it? Is it like 120? 140? 180? No, I don't know.
There is
artillery battlefield roll. It'll be down somewhere weird, probably at the top on the first page, probably just under the battle line.
140, yeah.
I don't know, maybe.
Kind of encourages you to take the dude who buffs them as well, and then you end up with a quarter of your army being that. Yeah, right. I mean, Rend 3 on a shooting attack is quite nice, but you've got mortal wounds on shooting attacks, which is arguably strictly better. So,
and it's not battle line, and it gets a bit awkward when you want to take formations, right?
Absolutely.
It's not. It's no bolt skewer kill bow, is it? Let's be honest.
Not quite.
It doesn't do anything unique that you go, I really need that, and nothing else.
Your army's pooping mortals out the wazoo. Like, just you could fly at something and do shooting that is as effective as that, and then be a dragon. So, Averun Storm Sire. There's a hero's appeared. Bloody hell, what's going on?
Oh, have I missed that one? Is it not the Dracolines?
Averun Storm Sire. No, he's from his little war band.
Yeah, so he's the Evocator Underworlds thing, isn't he?
Got to auto unbind and some dudes with him. And can do mortal wounds like everything in the book.
They get Empower as well. How many points is they together? Because they might be quite a bargain.
Let's have a look.
The Curse Breakers. Because obviously you're getting the Empower spell, but you're also getting the auto unbind. So
230 for one of him and 2 of others.
Yeah, it's not bad because if you want the buffs, that's quite efficient.
Yeah.
Because the units are wizard as well.
Yeah, get a little pocket of magic for not too much.
You get 2 wizards, an empower spell, and a dispel scroll.
5 wound wizard, 6 wound wizard, 3 up save, 4 up save. Yeah, not bad melee profiles either.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad option for sure.
So the Draklings now. I'm out of sequence on this.
Steelheart.
Oh, what's going on? So he's got a broadsword. So, yeah, some attacks. They're liberators, basically.
Yeah, they are pretty much. We did the so we passed the Dracolines was before the Evocators and Dracolines was before the.
I haven't talked about those yet. Okay.
Yeah, well they're they're really similar. They're 280 points instead of 230. They're expensive for their wounds, I think, and they move faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool models. I like both of their models really.
Do you get? Is there 3 in a unit or 5?
3. Yeah. 15 wounds, 280 points, or you get 15 wounds, 230 points, but they're slower, basically.
Or you could just get dragons, or retributors, or something else. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think the sacrosanct stuff was really good in Soul Wars, and it kind of feels a bit meh now. And like the Vanguard stuff doesn't feel very good.
Like knee-jerk flip-flop.
Maybe a little bit. I don't know. Like they're okay, but I just think other stuff's better. I think before, like you wanted mortal wounds, so you went, "Oh, Sacrosanct Chamber gives me access to explosive mortal wounds," but now they give mortal wounds to like Judicators, to like just being near objective with Redeemers and to Vindictors, and you're like, well, actually, you don't need them for that anymore because Vindictors just do it all.
Doing stuff without having to commit to combat in the case of some of the other stuff as well. Like Judicators they used to be solid when the game started because they sat on an objective and they had enough reach that they could reach to an opponent's objective and kill stuff off it. They're now better at that for some more points, and even if something's got a 2+ save, they can still be mortals to it, which is wicked. Worth covering the endless spells?
Don't know. Vortex on a 5. Predatory. After it's moved, pick 1 unit that has any models passed across for each roll 12 dice for each 6 mortal wound. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by missile weapons within 6 this endless spell. It's all right.
80 points.
80, did you say?
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah.
Deus Arcanum. Summon with a 5. 3 inches of a wizards that have a wound catch of 8 or more that are unique, that are part of an army that has 2 or more models, or that already on a dais cannot cast it. Okay, that's easy for me to say. Successfully cast, pick up the endless spell. 3 inches from all terrain features. Basically, put the caster on top. There's a little platform. It has a move catch of 12. If he dispels it, it's automatically. If he's slain, it's dispelled. For removing it, set the caster within 6 and more than 3 from enemy units. So what's it actually do?
Cast and unbind 1 extra spell and subtract 1 from hit rolls against him. 55 points.
That's okay.
It's all right. Yeah,
55 points for a
fast coggy.
Yeah, but it makes you faster, makes you harder to hit. That's all right.
If you wanted to take one of the dispel scroll ones that are on foot, then that would let them keep up with the rest of your army potentially. Comet is still 100. This was always a bargain to be cast on a 6 and was painful to lose priority against. Casting value of 6, range of 36. That's still a long way.
It's outside their bind range, which is the key bit.
Yeah. After it's set up, roll a dice for each unit within 10 of this endless spell on a 1 mortal wound, 2 to 5d3, 6d6. And you subtract 1 from casting rolls for wizards within 10 of this endless spell. Still powerful, still expensive, still pretty unique in the game as far as what it does.
I think it's got less powerful because you can't cycle anymore.
Yeah.
Because you used to, and what I mean by that, people who don't know, is if you dispel that in your hero phase, you can't cast it again with another wizard, whereas you could before.
Yeah, it damages your stuff as well, and you don't particularly want to be hit by effective D3 mortal wounds in a large bubble as an elite army with great armor saves and barely any mortal wound protection.
It's expensive as well in an army that you're probably going to be like really point starved.
Yeah, that on the cheapest wizard in the book still costs you like 230 points or something like that, doesn't it?
Yeah. I don't see it. You might take the Arcanum if you've got spare points, but you probably take Cogs more because it probably gives you more value.
Yeah.
And Cogs is cheaper.
Yeah.
So,
and I think the charge option on Cogs is going to be potentially very useful in multiple Stormcast armies for reasons.
So, okay, so that's all the stuff we talked about. We've gone through the points that we've gone through. I'll put them up on the screen. Sorry, it's us kind of just rattling out loads of rules, but there's so much to cover. I mean, it's like 2 pages of war scrolls.
Yeah, we didn't think you'd appreciate an 8-hour.
No, and I think it's important. I think to talk about how the army plays and feels.
It feels small.
No, okay. I don't think so. I played a bit in the playtesting, and it felt like they had a decent amount of stuff. Like you normally have like 2 units of 10 battle line decent stuff that could be buffed with a few ancillary heroes, maybe one big thing. I think if you start taking Star Drakes and Dragons, you just have a small army.
In multiples, yeah, especially.
But if you actually look at what you get, particularly with if you play Stormkeep. So if you're going to go, right, I want to lean into lots of good troops that I can bring back with Yndrasta and Apotheosis, basically starter set Dominion stuff expanded, but don't take Annihilators, take a better Paladin unit or take Fulminators. You're basically going to be in territory of probably like, I would say the good thing is though, like 10 Vindictors is 30 wounds.
Yeah.
So like, because of capture power because of Stormkeep. So like, although your army's small, it's not small.
Yeah, but you'll be like top 30s actually, won't you? Probably like 35 to 40 wounds. Sorry, models.
Yeah, I think easily you'll be like 40, 50, like if you go into infantry, because like even if you take like Vindictors, I mean, what are they? 130, so 260 for 10 of them. You know, twice.
That line's great. Like this is weird coming off the back of the destruction book that we just did.
So you almost like the elite stuff's actually bad. Like you can go like, what would you say, like 260, 260, 200, 200. So you could spend 920 points, have 2 5s of Judicators, and then 2 10s of Vindictors. And you've got 4 battle line, although you don't need 4, but then you've got over 1,000 points to spend.
2 that wants to go to theirs, 2 that stays on yours. Yeah.
There's some really good synergy of buffs, particularly like Secretors with like Astria. You've got ways to bring them back from, because Redeemers are really good because you get the mortal wounds of your near objectives. They could be brought back quite easily.
Yndrasta.
Yeah, and like Yndrasta does anything with 3 wounds or less. Like Protectors become good pads to stand behind them because you've got a 3-inch reach, so you can actually do a phalanx type formation. You know, even the sword guys I think are useful. Like, I mean, you've got ways to protect the key heroes with the dudes. I can't remember their names, but
the woundy taking them.
Yeah, those ones. And then you've got the Vigilers for the doing the extra damage. I think the Chariots are solid as well.
Yeah, it's quite cool that they seem, like an absolutely viable option.
I'm sure there's an army that leans into shooting in the Chariots are the things that go and pin them while you shoot them with your other stuff.
Yeah, I could see that.
Kazrai the Scarred is just not worth taking. You're just going to take Krondris. The Lords, it's just my opinion. I mean, someone will go, I mean, Aether Wings are a good cheap screen.
Yep.
I don't, like, if I was going to go through this and be, like, pretty harsh of what I wouldn't actually bother. I wouldn't bother with Ballista. Wouldn't bother with Judicators with Boltstorm crossbows. Liberators, yes. Secretors, yes. Vanquishers, yes. Maybe, well, then maybe. Vindictors, definitely. Astria, depends if you'd run in the Secretors. Aventus Firestrike, maybe. The Curse Breakers, maybe. Prime, yeah. Gardas, probably not, unless you're in Hallowed Knights and you really want to. Gavril, no. Knight Arcanum, probably. Azeros, no. Draconis, maybe. Heraldor, no. Incantor, maybe.
Definitely not him, yeah.
Adjudicate with Gryph-hounds, probably, if you're leaning into the Chariot Adjudicator one. Questa, Relictor, probably not. Venator, Vexilla, maybe. Vexilla with Banner of Apotheosis, maybe. It's like you go through it: Zephyrus, Aquila, Arcanum, the Dracoline. It's all just like blah 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 blah. But it basically comes down to Castellan. Like you're basically yeah, and like you're not gonna take Neve. Vandus you probably take. Yndrasta. You're not gonna take a Drake Swarm. You're not gonna take Krasrai. You might take Conjus if you're doing that. Star Drake solid. Eighth Wing solid. Annihilators no. Castigators no. Decimators probably not. Concussors, Desolators, Fulminators yes. Then like Tempestors probably not. Evocators probably not. It's just like you go through it and you're like, there's so much like faff in this book. Well, they're not awful, but you're just like there's other stuff that does the same thing like better.
Spend 200 points to taste if you've got a thing you want to plug. But this is, we just reviewed a book in the Iron Jaws portion of Orruk Warclans that has it's got like 6 war scrolls plus 2 war bands or something like that, or the character from the war band and then the war band. Everything is like the internal balance in that book is tight AF.
Yeah,
like all the bits are viable, even in Bone Splitters. Not that I would,
I think it's like they're all synergy, great. Right? Like,
yeah, but
it synergizes and it complements and the balance is good.
And you look at this and that, and then you're like, well, I could get 2 of this or 1 of that. In this, that doesn't seem like. I think 7A8 is just like what a mammoth task to try and make work.
I guess like impossible, right? You just end up with like the cities problem where you've got like 5 different elite infantry units all do similar thing, and you just take the best one. It's the same. Like you go like out of
or
this
something
book,
can be more easily buffed, so it's that one, which is exactly the position we're in. Where you're like, well, this chamber because 15 things can buff or affect this, and 8 things can buff or affect that, and 3 of them are less common or overpriced. So A rather than B.
And I don't think like if you take a Vanguard army, it's not bad. Like it's not like terrible. But inside its own book, there are better choices for the points.
Yeah. So they do a similar thing because
do a similar thing. Yeah. So they do basically
teleport around the table and run and shoot. Then
yeah. And like, there's almost like there's so much like faff in the book in terms of like bloat because technically they've had like 7 books. You've had like the original, then you had like the Drakesworn Temple, then you had like 7. The Vanguard Temple. Yeah. Then you had like the 2nd book, then you had the 3rd book, then you had another book. It's like and it's almost like every time they're adding in an army's worth of war scrolls. So it's it's almost got like 5 armies worth of war scrolls in it. It's just like
it's not separated as such, but this is comparable to Warclans, even though it has more war scrolls, because it's like if you treated each temple or chamber, whatever they are, as like its own thing, there would be 4 or 5 books in here. You've got the wizardy ones, you've got the teleporty, poopy ones, you've got the dragony ones, you've got the vanilla ones old, and then you've got the vanilla ones new, and then you've got paladins.
I mean, the good thing about it is that you're probably never going to be in a position where you can't write a good list, because if something is required and is good and it gets put up, there's an alternative that suddenly becomes more viable. So it's not like if you play Iron Jaws and brutes get wrong, the points go up too much.
Yeah,
then the whole army breaks down. Whereas
or you're forced to hard boys unless
like fulminators go up, you could just pivot onto like concussors or desolators or away from them onto Stormdrake Guard, or away from them onto, if Stormdrake Guard go up, then you could go, actually I'll just go into Paladins. I was going to say sorted out, but
they do need sorting out. Maybe.
I don't know, because you don't have many models, so it does depend. Like
that's what I said about the army being small. Like historically, the issue with this book, the best way to put it is and since like version 1, ignoring jank and gimmicks and like +5 command points from Gavriel or whatever crap, or setting up in combat, things that are actually long-term viable, it's become less than the sum of its parts. Like, it's got some magic, it's got some shooting, it's got some fast-moving stuff, it's got some resilient stuff, got a great selection of characters. The profiles are solid, and still you get on the table, and then like some point past turn 2, unless you're facing some really polarized shooting list or something like that, like, as an opponent, you're like, actually, I'm not as worried as I was. I don't quite know why, but I think I got this. And that's because they're so elite. So we could be saying all this stuff seems really good, and then you get to the table and they still have less models than you.
I've noticed how good that I've played against Stormkeep a lot. With Stormkeep, the capture power, the mortal wound chip damage is massive. The ability to bring models back easily if you take Apotheosis Yndrasta is really good. That is a certain type of list. What I find with Stormcast is that your synergy, because there isn't a lot of synergy apart from a few units, and it's generally in Hammers of Sigmar with the Hammers characters, you're more just going for raw efficiency because it's all on the War Scroll. They have got amazing command traits and artifacts, amazing mount traits, great rules on top of their normal rules with like
the books
chamber
full of command abilities that are free,
but they're not tied into you taking a certain unit to unlock that buff. So you can literally take what you want and still be powerful. So like the synergy, whereas like like Auric War Clans, you go, well, I've got to take War Channels to get the damage buff. They don't really have that. You might go, I'm going to take a Castellan for the save, but it's not that important. If you don't want to take a Castellan, like I remember before, it was always Relic to Castellan Vexilla was in every list because you pretty much had to. So I think what's really good about Stormcast is you've got really good easy models to paint. They're simple in a way because there isn't all these extra rules that synergize across to get the most out of units, because they're just flat good on the War Scroll. You've got a massive selection of units, so you're always going to have an answer to something.
Got a massive selection of allies or coalition.
Which we haven't even spoke about yet.
No.
They can have Lumineth, Realmlord, Seraphon, Sylvaneth, Caradron, Idneth, Fire Slayers, and Cities. So no Daughters of Cain.
Everything else.
Because Marathi doesn't get on with them anymore. She's fallen out with Sigmar. But pretty much everything else. But it's, I mean, they do have every type of unit you could ever want. Their battle line is just nuts good.
It's so good. So good.
And that means that Hold the Line is a great grand strategy.
Which is an important thing for a strong book.
And if you take...
Or keep the wizards alive is fine in a different type of...
Well, if you take a dragon army, you take Alpha Beast, the Alpha Beast thing where you've got to keep your beasts alive, right? But the fact that you can write a Drake army, which is 6 Drakes, a dragon, and another dragon, it's like double dragon, 6 Drakes. It's like, that's great. Why wouldn't you want to run that? That's fun.
Absolutely.
Could it down a giant a turn? Probably.
I
think so. I think Fulminators actually do more damage on the charge than they do. So
I was just going to say that. I'd be buffing in that direction.
Fulminators are nuts good. They're so scary when they charge.
Super tasty on the charge, and they're going to stick around after that for a fair bit.
But when you whiff, it's bad. I literally, my 15 Ard boys took a charge of 2 Fulminators and lost like 1 model, and then killed the Fulminators back.
Swinging.
It was really weird. Shouldn't have happened, but it did.
I think your army would really resent being debuffed playing with Stormcast, because you're not going to be doing stuff in many places. And if you've gone in one direction, you're going to have a lot less shooting or other varieties. So if your mortal wounds don't tick up like they need to, and then someone makes you, I don't know, -1 to hit, -1 to wound, you're going to spend your CP somewhere that you don't want to, that might not protect you defensively, and then less stuff will get through. Like debuffing the wound rolls on this army, I think would be particularly effective. You could put a lot of people in and do basically, nothing against something with a good save quite easily.
Yeah, I think they've almost. I almost feel like they should have retired a lot of the war scrolls.
Yeah, difficult one, isn't it? I know they don't like that, generally speaking, or people don't rather, and then they complain, and that maybe affects decisions.
Because I just think you've got so much bloat in the book. Like, how do you like?
There's a lot to read in.
Yeah, but then like
that's your thing.
And this will come across like if you're a new player, it's probably quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
Not only like just remember the difference in names. What's the difference between a lord and a knight?
All the bloody same. Everything's like a paladin from Diablo, isn't it?
Liberator, Sequitur, Vanquisher, Vindictor. It's like it's all like Concussor, Decimator, Fulminator. Well, it's like
that's why that answer's just going to be this.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, one of them.
Yeah. Or for the So, you can put 600 points into him. Then you can put 500 points into a Drake. Dragons are cool. Nothing, like not up for debate. Dragons are cool. And then you only have to spend 900 points. Some of it's going to have to be your battle line, which could be more dragons. And if they weren't, then you still wouldn't have that much on the table. And you'd end up with 5 different war scrolls, 6, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be a lot more pleasant to play with. For a beginner, at least. Definitely.
Yeah.
You can just duplicate your battle line as well, which is another way to make it less complicated. Like if you've got a few of the same starter box or start collecting or something, you could just go,
Well, I generally think the Dominion stuff is a great point. Like if you just built on top of that, you've got a great start of an army.
Yeah, eBay your second Yndrasta, someone will want it.
It's a bit different. It's like it's the opposite of the Cruel Boys, really. Because you get the Cruel Boy stuff in there, and it's like you don't really want all the Hobgrots, and you want more Bolt Boys, and it's like the Gut Rippers don't have the command group, and you're like, oh, okay. And
the Stormcast count as like twice as many points.
Yeah.
So you buy 2 of those, and it's it's like
it's such an unbalanced game.
Is it like 12 or So like it's ridiculous, isn't it? It's like 12 or 1300 points of Stormcast, probably maybe 800 points that you want to use, maybe 800 points of Core Boys or something.
But I think really the only Stormcast stuff you might not use is like the Praetors and maybe one of the heroes, the one that's got that Knight Arcanum. Is it the Knight Arcanum with the endless spell, the Mask Woman?
Yeah.
But I mean, like the book's good. I mean, it sounds like we're down. I'm not down on it. It's just that it's like
overwhelming.
There's a lot in there that you don't need to worry about. So you kind of have to sort through it and say like, oh, okay, well, if I'm taking a Draconian Guard, which is the best one, that's one I'll take. And it might be the case that you might play against a lot of Horde armies, then you take Concussors would become more relevant.
Yeah. Well, they've got an option as an antidote to anything that you're weak against. If you're weak against shooting, you can put certain stuff on heroes. Like if you want a way to kill loads of crappy dudes, you can take the appropriate elite option. I definitely see people, like photocopying the relevant 6 pages from their book and then just referring to the rules pages and having, or getting the War Scroll cards or whatever it is and being like, okay, well, that's less to think about or less to scroll through.
Yeah. But I think like if you play like Stormkeep and you take all the stuff that does mortal wounds, you take Judicators, Vindictors.
You'd be fine.
You take, like anything that could do a mortal wound, the Prime, anything, like it's just great because you just like, you've got breath weapon mortal wounds, you've got mortal wound shooting, you've got mortal wound abilities, you've got like, it's just like, you literally have so many access to mortal wounds.
That's a way to make your elite army not feel too small as well.
Yeah.
Because you
and even like
damage in multiple phases from multiple distances and control the table better.
And Liberators, 115 points, what they are great.
Yeah, they are super solid.
Then you can even take that once per game a call to aid where you can just bring a unit of 5 back on the table.
Oh, absolutely.
So super solid if you've got like, you just like, I need an extra unit of bodies.
Yeah, you go 10 of them, 5 of them, 5 Judicators, like old school, and be absolutely fine.
Yeah, easy. Yeah, I mean,
I don't think people with old armies are going to get left behind at all. No. They're like they're a book and 2 purchases away from having a completely updated army that feels different and is absolutely viable. Which I guess is quite a nice thing.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think the new The Vindictors, I think, are the best battle line, just my own personal opinion. I think Judicators are still solid. I think the Vanguard shooting I wouldn't bother with because I just take Judies. And then, you know, Paladin-wise, Protectors and Retributors, although it always was those two. Fulminators, but it always was those ones anyway.
Yeah.
And then Annihilators aren't awful, but they're just expensive.
I was going to say, I think that's the only thing that we disagree. Like, I don't think they're, you know, they're not amazing, but I do think on the table they'll do a fairly solid amount. Against the wrong armies, ones that pump out mortal wounds, you'll feel, you know, a bit sorry for yourself. If not, though, if they make that charge and they charge someone on a hill or whatever it is, they are going to demand attention from your opponent while they deal with them, because they just chunk off damage. So if they hit something and wipe it out, then you get the next turn and you do it again, which you could be doing from 3 inches away. That's, you know, it's a lot. And it's not a chipping of mortal wounds, that's chunking it with them. They've got real potential to go in and muller stuff.
But like even like a Scion's army, Knights Excelsior, +1 attack, Retributors, drop 7 away with a rerollable charge, with Cogs get +1. It's like
Cogs
6
is a great call,
with, you know, they go in, they got an extra attack on each guy, they go and smash some hammers in. It's like it's old school, it's AOS 1, it's Wild West, but it works. So
it still works, I think Cog is a really, really obvious and like very practical endless spell addition in this army, because there's a lot of 1 or 2 cast wizards that have got an amazing spell and might want to do Mystic Shield, or have, you know, their amazing spell but want to do the amazing spell that they've chosen from the lore also. Never mind the potential for move for making those charges more reliable.
I think like the traditional like phalanx, like I always wanted to run this back in the day, and I know that my original army. So you have like your line of guys, your shield wall, you have your pikes behind it, you have like your bowmen behind that, you have like cavalry on a flank, you know, maybe some artillery, some buff heroes, and it'll work really well. And with the Andrasta and the Apotheosis banner, you're doing mortals when people die,
like a 1500 point block back, and then like 250 point options to go and be annoying. Which could be the chariots. Could have 4 chariots.
The chariots, I think, are good. I think for the
that'd
points
be a cool
cost,
army.
It looked great so cool as well.
Yeah, look at like brilliant on the table.
I actually think the chariots are one of the better things in the book because they're quite cheap.
125, weren't they? If I remember correctly.
I think they're a bit more than that because they're 125 and 5 of them.
I know it's 160.
Yeah, 165 or something like that. I can't find them. What are they called? Oh, 165. There you go.
There you go.
Because I actually think they're decent because, like, your 12-inch move, 12 wounds with a 3-up save is, you know, for the points. I mean, what else are you going to get for that that's that fast that can do damage?
You know, it's only a couple of shots, but all right.
It's the charge of mortal wounds. That's like charging, I've got an 8-inch charge. That's 4 mortals on average. You know, like you could spike that as well. If you rolled like a big charge, I mean, like that's a lot of damage. But the thing is, it pins them in place while you shoot and combo them, and
and then you're really resilient. Like people are going to have to casualty remove to take you out of combat if they want to be safe, and then deal with a battle shock or spend a CP, and you'll still just be there, probably unhurt at that point.
Yeah, and if you've got stuff like the healing, like from the Relictor, you could just be there like healing it, like or the prayer, or even from the there's a spell, isn't there, heal on one of the heroes. So I mean, like it's 12 wounds with basically a 2-up save. It's really hard to chunk through, particularly if your hammers. They've got a 6-up ward as well. So you ain't gonna be easy to get through that.
No. Also, if you have a couple of units of Judicators, having some options to do the last wound is great. It's not a great shooting attack, but you know, if you've got 3 of those in your army, just being able to be like, okay, well, or you might have done a hero phase where you've done more damage than you expected. Heroes live on 2 wounds. All right, shoot with 1, didn't work. Shoot another, 1 more wound. Shoot another, 1 more wound, done. Like that is really useful. Like it means you don't over allocate. I really like having multiple options in shooting armies.
I think the chariots are solid. I mean, do they make a good ally in a lot of armies as well?
They'd be good in living cities.
Something fast that can pin, that doesn't die easily.
Yeah, although I guess you just take the dragons if you're after shooting and then killing in living cities.
They're expensive though, aren't they?
They are, yeah, the chariots are way more throwaway, but I don't think they will get thrown away because they probably will stick around more than people want and do more than people want.
Yeah, I think they're the right side of, like, because there's nothing, if you look at the book, there's not a lot that's at the 160, 180 point mark. Everything's like 200 plus or 140, 140. It's like there isn't much in the middle. So, you know, Vigilers as well are pretty good because they buff your whole army in both phases. So I could see them being taken, and they could be battle line if you've got a Knight Judicator. And I think the Knight Judicator's got a nice ability because you come with a Gryphhound unit, which gives you a little screeny unit. But also it's got quite a decent shot.
You get your little
AoE more wound burst. So like that, and I think the Prime is really solid now.
I was going to say that's the combo, right? Judicator, Prime, have a load of Vigilers chopping about.
So definitely good. I think we'll see a lot of Stormcast out. What do you think they are? Do you think they're A tier, B tier?
You could. The book as a whole is really weird because it's got so many different things in it. I think the obvious dragon list will be hard to combat and will shock people initially and might be strong enough that it kind of pushes the meta in a certain way. Maybe people prioritize mortal wound screens more. Like Chaos Warriors would go up in value, or Chaos Knights for sure.
I think as well, like anything that can output mortal wounds would be a problem for them because they don't have mortal wound saves. That's why I think you take hammers, because you get a 6-up.
Yeah, you've got your characters with a 4+, but that's it. You either lean into healing the wounds once stuff died, or healing the wounds on monsters once they've taken it, or you cross fingers with a 6-up, which is a bit risky. Certain armies are really like, they probably don't want to face Cruel Boys because they could poke you could poke 2 key units backwards or whatever. And then bully wounds elsewhere. I don't know, actually. Maybe they just start in the sky and don't care. Yeah.
I think it depends. I like Stormkeep, I think it's good, but then Sirens gives you options. So it's like, solid. I think it's a good book. I'd say it's probably A tier. Just because of the flexibility.
I'd like to play it on the table. I've got like a floating A to C, depending on how well it feels to cover the board and survive, and whether it's just too, like, some elite armies really suffer, some don't, and that's yet to be seen.
Yeah, I think they can fill some of the gaps though, because like the extra objective capture really helps.
Yeah,
because that's what they struggled with.
Turns 1 to 3 is enough, right?
Well, it's early game, it's just you, but the later game, it's the whole table. So like from turn 3 onwards, it's every objective on the table. So
even just getting up whilst sitting defensively could be. I mean,
and they are really resilient now. Like they're really resilient, and and that's good. You know, they should feel like that. So, okay, that's Stormcast.
That's it. Write us your 7,000 billion options of lists, please.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do Russ's Phalanx with the addition of chariots and write like a traditional looking Grecian army. That'd be cool, actually. Yeah.
If you like the video, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Let us know below what you think, what you're excited about in the book. Obviously, it's going to be just loads of comments saying dragons, but we know that. And hopefully this was okay. But that's all the rules. That's what stuff does. There wasn't a lot of synergy talk because, honestly, the book doesn't have an awful lot of it. It's just, it does what it does. And you buy the best things for what you want to do. And
the dudes do their stuff. Yeah, absolutely. We'll do some list text at some point in the near future for both of the recently released battle tomes. If seeing this has made you want to buy an army, with the affiliate link. That's it really, I guess.
Yeah. All right. We'll catch you all again soon, and thanks for watching.
Cheers, peeps. Catch you in a bit. Bye-bye.